Please don't hear any of this, Brad.
And Dad's like, I got the fuck out of there. I was like, oh man, you didn't partake?
Do you fear death?
Oh, one of the greatest lines of all time.
I could have chopped it. I could have chopped it.
Trumpinator 2020.
Making me 30 sides of red sauce.
Listened to so much. Are you
That needs two, motherfucker.
Yeah.
brother? Episode 77, Jay.
I know.
Dude, I'm trying to think of the last time I actually saw you. I think it might have been at Vintage Stock, back when you were working there a long time ago.
Probably.
So, did you ever move like out of town? I thought so. Where did you
so
go?
in 09 I moved to Atlanta.
Okay.
Yeah, and I lived in Atlanta from 09 to 21. And then,
Okay, so you did live there for a long time. Okay.
Yeah. So I lived there for a while and then moved back to Fayetteville in 21, September 11th.
Right on.
21.
So I saw Chris Gray and I recently reconnected, and then he came on the pod, and then I saw a picture of you with him. I was like, God, I gotta talk to Jay. It's been so long, man. Because we met playing in the rock scene back in Fayetteville back in the late '90s, early sober and Android 19. You still talk to any of those guys, or?
Yeah. I mean, I still talk to Tim, and talk to
quit bothering him.
talk to John every now and then. Yeah, he's up in Portland.
Oh, so he's still up there.
Yeah.
He moved there in
he's
the
up
late
there.
'90s, didn't he?
Yeah. No.
Early 2000s.
Early 2000s, yeah, like 2001 or 2. Maybe. Yeah. No, it was after that. It was probably 2003.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get him out of here. Do your whole time. Yeah, come on.
I mean, I totally don't care, but I know if
So how old were you when you started playing drums?
what?
How old were you when you first started playing drums?
When I started playing, I was probably 11, 12.
So you're pretty young.
Yeah.
My
11,
son
12.
started when he was 12. It's a good age.
Yeah, 11, about 11, probably 11. I was in a beginning band. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, so I did all through school. I did I did beginning band, and then I did junior high band, concert, and marching band, and then high school concert and marching band.
You did all that.
Yeah, all that. I can read music, all that good stuff, and whatever.
You're legit.
Yeah, I guess if you want to say that.
So when did you start playing in bands?
When I was 15. Yeah, 15.
Same.
Me and some friends got a punk band going.
Yeah.
And just started doing that, and then in high school, I was in a glam metal band, a hair metal band, called Chaos with a K and two S's. Yeah.
Love it, man. It's weird because having an acoustic kid is so damn obnoxious for everyone else around. It's one of those things you can't turn up or down.
Yeah, no.
But were your parents cool with it?
Yeah, I had to practice before everybody got home. Before my mom got home.
Okay.
Yeah, so I could.
That's how you had to do it.
Yeah, once I got home from school, I could play as much as I wanted, but once Mom got home, I had to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, and because I've always played really loud, and so and then and just whenever they were gone or something, on the weekends, I could go in there and just jam on the kit or whatever, and no volume knob, unfortunately.
Do you have an electric kit?
No.
At all? You ever played on?
I mean, I've played on them, and I like them, especially the ones now,
Yeah, they're
really
pretty
nice
crazy
ones
now.
Yeah.
Whereas...
But yeah, I mean, I've never owned one. I've always thought I should get one, for living in an apartment, but I'm always in a band and I have a place to practice.
Yeah, exactly.
With my regular kids. So.
I mean, y'all had a cool practice space when you were with Android down there off of Dixon.
The Quonset hut.
Yeah.
Off Center Street, they tore that thing down.
Did they?
Just recently, yeah.
Dang, dude.
They tore it down, man.
That whole place
end
is
of an era.
So different.
Yeah,
now.
It's crazy. But it was that's where everything happened. I mean, that was all the bands practiced there, and I practiced there for 10 years in all the different bands. Where I first started playing with John, in Speed the Plow, and then Static UK, and then Android 19, and played there for 10 years, and everybody, Pumpkinhead practiced next door,
Yep.
Vor practiced downstairs. I mean,
It
everybody.
was a cool place.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
felt very. I mean, and there was a scene going on in the
Oh,
late
yeah.
'90s
Oh, yeah.
for sure,
Yeah,
which
it was a total scene, and all the bands would go play gigs, and most of them practiced there. So then after their gigs, they would all come back there to unload their gear and
Yeah.
party a little,
Just
and then next
hanging
thing you
out.
know, it was just the whole everybody in that building was partying together.
Yeah.
in separate studios, and we were just going back and forth from studio to studio, just hanging and partying. And
It was a cool time, man.
Oh, it was
It was a
awesome.
lot of fun. What do you think killed it?
I don't know, man. I think maybe the digitizing of music, maybe.
You think so?
No, I mean, not so much. Just, I mean, the scene just kind of dispersed a little bit, and then COVID,
Yeah.
hit, and then, there was no live music for a while, and
Well, I just mean like because y'all weren't doing covers, as I recall.
Yeah.
Well, not many. It was like mostly original stuff.
yeah,
Where you
yeah.
could just go out and play your tunes, and people wanted to come see that.
Yeah.
And then it's like some point it got to where cover bands just took back over, but
Yeah,
they're
they
for a
took
limited time.
And people just wanted to go and just see, something easy where they could just have a good
Yeah,
time
yeah.
and still like talk to their friends and have fun and
Exactly.
dance or whatever. And it was stuff that they knew, like music they knew, and they could sing along with it and dance and stuff. And but there for a while, it was like people wanted to see people do something original and something new and something that was theirs, and they wanted like the 90s were really big on like, we want to see what you can do, we want
Yeah.
to see what you got, and let's like, I want to hear your songs and see what you're doing.
Do you remember Nick Thomasma?
Who?
1049 The X, when the dude that started Local X?
Yeah, oh yeah.
He was huge in that whole
Yeah.
bit because
Oh,
he
yeah.
started that show. He would have us on the show, play us on the show.
Uh-huh.
It was a
And
platform we'd never had before.
Yeah, and Dan Robinson took it over.
Yeah.
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 And I mean, like, started and was doing all that and keeping it alive, back when it was when the scene was trying to die and people were trying not to hear local music or
Right.
whatever, and
Yeah, that was a big key. The last studio recordings we did with Dan. I haven't talked to him in a long time. You see him any?
yeah, Dan's still doing good. He's running Fayetteville Public Television.
Okay.
Yeah, he's running that, and he's playing in. He has Rot, the old band that I was in with them. Him and Hurley, the singer, are doing a Rage Against the Machine tribute band.
Nice.
And they're doing that, and so yeah, I mean,
Glad
and
to
they
hear
do
he's
some
still
Audio
kicking it.
Slave, and his
Yeah.
daughter sings on the Audio Slave stuff, and then Hurley sings on the Rage stuff.
Right on.
Yeah,
That's
so
pretty
yeah, they're
cool.
doing that whole thing, and yeah.
So who are you playing with now?
So I'm playing in Liquid Courage.
Okay.
Old school punk rock, old school punk rock. A lot of the kids call us dad punk.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'm playing in a sludge doom metal band called Dirtmother.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what kind of venues you guys playing at?
Mostly Waystone Pizza. Waystone Pizza is the new place where everybody's playing. It's awesome.
Is
The
it?
owner,
Got a good
yeah,
vibe?
dude. It's awesome, and the owner is super super cool. They take care of you there. Yeah, they it's a fun place to play. All the shows I played there have been a blast. Yeah, they're totally cool. That they take care of their bands. Feed you, give you some pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the food there is amazing. And then Nomad's Trailside and Nomad's Southside sometimes.
Okay.
They still have shows, but Nomad, yeah, and Smoking Barrel, no more.
Yeah.
Smoking Barrel was awesome, and everybody played there, and everybody had a blast playing there, but it's no more. So
Did you ever play at Clunk?
yeah, Clunk. Yeah,
That was
Clunk
another cool thing we had,
Clunk
where they
was
just
awesome.
literally anybody could get up and play.
Yeah, I mean, and all kinds of music.
Oh, yeah.
I mean everything from, metal, punk, hardcore, indie, emo,
Christian rap. I mean, it was wild. Yeah.
Everything was there. As long as it was underground and you were doing your thing and doing something original, he wanted you to come do it.
And it was great, especially I was 15 when I first started playing in a band, and to get that experience on a stage is so much different than being in a practice.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, you have to get on stage and perform. You got to get out there, and it makes you a better performer and a better player.
Oh, 100%.
To go out and play live all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sharpens your skills.
Well, my middle one started playing drums last year, and he's really getting good at it. But we're writing together. We're working on so we started Durham Fest 2 years ago out here, just as with our own family and friends, and now like we did it last year out in Prairie Grove, and I'm kind of wanting to just grow it a little bit, but it's also an opportunity for like people with kids. If kids want to get up on stage, do a song or two, you know, have an opportunity like that.
Yeah.
And so now we just got a set list together, and we're timing it, trying to break all that stuff out.
Yeah.
It's a really good experience for somebody young.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of opportunities like what we had with Clunk. It was awesome.
Yeah. Well, the cool thing about like Waystone, at Waystone the shows are all ages.
Oh, are they?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's even cooler.
Yeah, the shows are all ages, and the shows at Nomads are all ages too.
Nice. So I can bring my kids to the shows. That's cool.
So, I mean, it's
See, that would get me out of the house, because
Yeah,
a lot of this times it's like, you know.
Yeah, that's why we don't understand why a lot more kids, because there are some kids that are coming out to the shows at Waystone and some at Nomads, but sometimes we're like, I wonder why there's not more, because I mean they can go out and see awesome music
Exactly.
and they're able to come in.
That was one thing
they're able to get in.
I got kind of lucky because my dad knew some people that could get me into Dave's when I was younger than I was supposed to be, but like not everybody got to do that.
Yeah.
You know, and so just to be able to see a live band under 21 is hard.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, that's the cool thing about that. It's all ages and stuff. I mean, you know, so yeah, I mean, Liquid Courage plays our Dirtmother plays Waystone. I mean, you know,
Nice.
like it's like all kinds of different musical genres, and you know.
So I'm assuming you guys aren't going out and tagging cars with flyers anymore.
No, but I mean,
Where are y'all getting the word out now? How are y'all doing it?
Just mostly internet, you know. I mean, social
media,
yeah.
picking it
But
up.
you know, we are like there for a while. Everybody was just doing social media and not really doing like paper flyers
Yeah.
anymore or handbills. But people are starting to do that
Are
again.
they?
They're starting to go to at least the venue and like a couple cool hip spots, you know, where people go and hang out or whatever, and like music stores again. Like we're going and putting paper flyers there, and like sometimes get some handbills and go out to the place where your band's got a gig and hand them out to the people at shows like for a few weeks ahead of time. So that's mostly. I mean, we're kind of there for a while. It was just pretty much only social media, and no one was really doing
You can keep going.
that. Yeah, they weren't really doing the paper stuff anymore. But people are getting back into hanging up some flyers. Just at least a few. Maybe not hitting the whole town, but getting them at the place where you're playing, some other cool places where lots of people are, and then going out to the place where you're playing the show and handing out some handbills, for a few weeks before, and just.
Do you have any of the old ones, like the ones like Android 19, any of the old stuff like that?
Yeah, I've got some of them.
I find those really cool, just as memories to have, because I remember like making those and like going out and putting them up. My mom's been working on a scrapbook forever. We've got so many things, but it's just hard when they're all disjointed newspaper clippings and handbills and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, how do you compile that into something?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, hold on to them though.
Yeah.
Hold on to them and keep, because I've got some. I keep meaning to get like a like a old school like photo book. And just like put some of the flyers in there and just have them in like that, because that's what Matt from Liquid Courage he has like 5 or 6 of those with just all kinds of like paper newspaper clippings and flyers and stuff in it from like the 90s. From way back, and they're all organized, and like you can go back and go, remember this,
I've got a lot of it. It's just very disorganized. My music is very organized, but any like stuff that accommodates the music is
not
just not. Yeah, it's just in boxes and piles. But I would love to go like really put that stuff together at some point. How much studio recording have you done?
Quite a bit. I mean, like I just like since I've been back to Fayetteville, Liquid Courage has recorded an album, and an EP. It's got 6 songs on it, but and then Dirtmother just recorded our album.
Okay.
Yeah. And
where are you going now?
So Liquid Courage recorded with Rafe Box.
Okay.
He has Holy Anvil. Recording, and
where's he out of?
Huntsville Studios.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's where Dirtmother practices, and that's where Liquid Courage practices.
Really? Okay,
where all
nice.
the bands are practicing now. That's the new Quonset hut, on Center Street, basically.
Nice.
And so he has a studio right there. So Liquid Courage recorded.
And he knows what he's doing.
But he's good. He's
Nice.
good. Yeah, he recorded his band Chrono Wizard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean he recorded Chrono Wizard, and they just put out their album like a couple weeks ago, and he
Awesome.
did Liquid Courage's, and Liquid Courage's album came out last year, the end of last year.
Nice.
It's called Another Round. We got it on vinyl, and we got it
Oh,
on CD.
sick.
Yeah, we got it on vinyl.
Who
we
you
got it on
having
CDs.
produce it? Who'd you go with?
Well, we produced it with him.
Oh, I mean, like physical. Like, who'd you get to do the physical
to do
copies?
the disc makers.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, disc makers. I mean, they did that, and they did the vinyl.
That's who I've always used.
Yeah,
They're good.
Yeah, I mean, they're awesome, and so like we did it with them, and then
That's cool to say. That's one thing I can't say. I've
vinyl.
not produced a vinyl. Yeah.
It's awesome.
That
It's,
is
finally, I've had one band that's had a song on a comp that was on vinyl back in the 90s,
Yeah,
Static
yeah.
UK with John and
Yep,
Alan Tauber.
remember, yeah.
And it was that Rules to Live By.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah. And so that, I mean, but like I don't have any of my bands on vinyl, and so I was like, finally in 2024, I finally put out.
That's ironic, isn't it?
Yeah, a band put some stuff out on vinyl, so
Yeah.
and then Dirtmother is putting ours. We're having our CD release party March the 8th at
Are you
Waystone.
really?
Yeah, yeah. So the
Nice.
album, the album's coming out March the 8th at Waystone, and we're gonna have a CD release party there, and we're gonna do CDs and of course digital, and then and everything will come out that day on March 8th, and then we're gonna save up and get some vinyl. We're gonna say
Nice,
because
man.
vinyl's not cheap, man. So
No, I don't imagine.
So we're gonna save up and get some vinyl, and then we'll have it on that too. But yeah.
Were you big into vinyl growing up? I mean, I'm sure you listened to a lot of it. Did
Yeah.
you prefer it to like the CD age, or were you happy that? it
Well,
went
I mean,
digital?
like I preferred it. Yeah, but once CDs came out, it was like.
Yeah.
Vinyl, whatever,
Yeah.
like CDs sound so much better and whatever, and so I was all about CDs, but then you get nostalgic, and then you start listening to the records, and you're like, wow, man, I really do like listening to records. I mean, so I've been listening to a lot of records. I mean, I have a pretty good record collection, but I'm pretty much stopped buying stuff on. I'll buy some stuff on vinyl every now and then, but not a whole lot, because I just don't. I can't collect every piece of vinyl I want. I don't have enough room for it.
Yeah, I got you.
And I really do honestly listen to everything more digital. Like it's listen to stuff on streaming.
Well, it's too convenient.
Yeah, I mean it's just too easy, and so I do that more. But yeah, I mean it's nice though to have your stuff on vinyl and be like, I'm on vinyl here.
So how do you guys record? Like, do you guys use ClickTrack at all, or
Yeah.
you do?
Yeah.
You like using it?
I don't like using a click track.
Oh, you don't?
I don't like using
That's just
a
how you
click
do it.
track.
Okay.
Yeah, I do not. I mean, I like to just like lay down a good solid, tempo in the song, and sometimes you'll do it and you'll play it and everybody's tight and it sounds great, but it's like that is too fast though. So let's do a few more and whatever. But I prefer honestly doing it,
live.
but doing it with the click. If for some reason you got to cut and paste a little because you don't have the quite the perfect take that you want,
Yeah.
you need to do a little cut and paste and a little choppy chop, then you can do that with a click because
Yeah,
everything lines
that's
up
true.
just perfectly, so I did the Liquid Courage and the Dirtmother both on with the click, and the Dirtmother was like hard. It was real because we have a lot of our stuff's really slow and loud and heavy and doomy, and we have parts that slow down gradually, and we have parts that is one tempo, and then the next part comes in and it's drastically slower,
Yeah.
and so that was difficult to do to a click, man.
Yeah,
it was probably one of the
Click's hard anyway.
Yeah, I mean
get that perfect.
Yeah, and I'm super proud of the album because it was probably the hardest like sessions I've ever had, probably, but doing the Dirtmother stuff,
Really?
especially to a click, it was probably the hardest time I've ever had recording my drum tracks, but it turned out really
Yeah,
good,
it
and I'm
sounds
super
nice.
proud of it, and so I'm like, okay, I'm glad I did it, but yeah. And what's funny, so Rafe recorded, he's in Chrono Wizard, and he's amazing, and has Holy Anvil there at Huntsville Studio, and he recorded Liquid Courage, and then the bass player of Chrono Wizard, who is also in another band called Ghost Hollow, him and his bandmate in Ghost Hollow recorded Dirtmother at Huntsville Studios.
Very cool.
Yeah, they recorded us, and then Mason recorded us, and then Saban mixed it and
Okay.
mastered it, and it's
Yeah,
like,
I definitely am with you about preferring not to use a click. Like you said, it's nice because you can chop, cut, paste, all that,
yeah,
but it just for me, I feel like it feels a little more warmer.
Yeah.
When you're just that light. Yeah, it might not be 100% perfect, but it's that energy.
Yeah, and it's more earthy, and it's more raw, and more,
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
a little bit more of a pain in the ass to record if you need to cut and paste, but, man, if you're buttoned up and you know your shit, it's not too hard to go back and...
You got to think, like, Led Zeppelin, The Who, I mean, all these iconic bands, I mean, they didn't play no click. They just went in there and bashed it out and played it perfect a few times and then moved on to the next song and played it perfect. You know, I mean, you know.
I think the Beatles were recording, I mean, literally on 4 tracks.
Yeah,
I mean, it was nuts. And then you had to bounce that stuff down.
Yeah. And they just went in and
so
played it
spoiled
perfect
these
because
days.
they were awesome. I mean,
you had to.
so they just went in and played it perfectly a few times. I was like, okay, let's play another song perfectly a couple of times, and you know, and
just to get the bass track, then they could go in and layer on top of it. But you know, just people playing together for that basic track is fun. How did you, like, when you were a kid? Like, what kind of methodology did you have? Like, did you go to drum lessons, or were you just banging on shit?
Yeah, no, so yeah, I did.
I mean, you know, you were in band, obviously.
So
but like,
I was in band.
I'm talking about like kit.
Like on kit, yeah, I just practiced on one of my best friend's kit because I didn't have a kit for a while. So every time I'd go to his house, I'd play on his kit, and then I finally got my kit, and I would just like.
What was your first kit?
My first kit was I still have it. It's a Pearl Export, a black Pearl Export.
Okay.
Yeah. So I grew up on a farm, and you know we weren't rich or anything, and so I told my dad I wanted a drum set, and he checked out the prices of drum sets, and he was like, okay, but I mean, you're going to work for this. You're gonna, you're not just going to get a drum set. You're going to work on the farm for this. And I'm like, okay, yeah. No, he worked me hard for 3 whole years.
Yeah.
Hard work like I was an adult for 3 solid years. And finally, after that, he was like, one day we came in from the fields, and he said, go get cleaned up. We're going to go to Little Rock, and we're going to get your drum set. I was like, no way. And he's like, yeah, go get.
How old were you?
Yeah, I was like, probably 13.
Okay.
14.
It's a little bit of good, honest child labor.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
You're 13. You get to go down with dad.
Yeah. I might have been 4. I was probably 14, maybe. But yeah, it worked me hard. And
so
then,
cool, man.
And then it made me earn it. And then we went and got my drum set, and I went in there and picked out whatever I wanted, and I got a Pearl Export, and of course I got black because
Yeah.
And it's
so fun. We all went through that phase.
Yeah, I mean, you have to get black. I mean, come on, if you're going to be in a rock band or a metal band or anything. Yeah. So I got that and started just bashing away on it, and I would just like play whatever I could. I would get like older drummers that were, a lot older than me than in high school or in college, and try to get them to show me stuff. You know? But, there wasn't a whole lot of that in my little town I grew up in. So, I mean, it was me just kind of, in a way, teaching them. I already knew how to play snare drum a little, but I had to learn everything else.
Well, yeah, kit's just such a different experience.
Different thing, So I just taught myself. And then after I learned the basics, then I would just like put my headphones on, get my Walkman, and put my cassette in there, whatever, Led Zeppelin, Metallica, whatever, and put it in there, turn it up as loud as it would go, and just play along with it. Try to play, and got to where I could play a few songs, and maybe not perfectly, because I mean, Metallica, when you're like, 14 or something, but like play along with it, and then it got to where I could play, through, the whole cassette, and it got to where I could play through the whole cassette nonstop without stopping and taking a break or anything, and that was good. And I think I was trying to like, I was trying to like build up my stamina and try to like get my conditioning and my chops up, so if I was actually ever in a band, I could like actually play through a whole set, and so
it's really valuable. I used to do that. I just play through, like I was the rhythm guitar player, and just turn on a record and just stand up and play through the whole album.
Yeah, I mean, and so I did that a lot, and I mean, and I'm talking like there would be times where, like especially in the summer when I was out of school and my mom was at work, and I would like practice for like 5-6 hours like every single day, just playing along.
That's what you got to do to get good, though.
Just
So many people think it's this glorious thing where you're going to learn a few chords and then all of a sudden you're playing music. You have to put in the work.
Yeah, you do. I mean,
And even then, you might not be good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
Some people just don't have it.
Yeah, well, and
no
then-
matter how hard they work, they're never going to get it.
But then even after you learn the basics and you know how to play and you're pretty proficient and you're pretty pretty badass or whatever in your own mind, then you kind of have to kind of develop your own style, so you're not playing exactly like everybody
Exactly.
else.
And
or
that's a
exactly
hard
like,
thing to do.
Yeah, it's real hard.
It took me years.
I mean, there for a while I was all about John Bonham from Led Zeppelin, Lars
not a
Ulrich
bad
from
one to
Metallica,
have.
but I was playing just like them,
Yeah.
and it was like well, and I thought at the time, oh, I'm a badass, like whatever, but I mean, yeah, but I sounded just like them, so then I had to like kind of develop my own style, and I kind of developed my own style and then just kind of went with it, and it's always just been play loud, hit hard, play with every amount of energy and passion that I have in every single song, and that's, I guess, my style.
Yeah.
That's what people consider my style,
Yeah, I think to develop your own style is when you just stop copying people. It's like I was the same way. Like I wanted to sound like Kurt Cobain or Scott Weiland when I was writing. I wanted my songs to sound like that, and then eventually you realize, you got to stand on your own 2 feet and create something. And then when you do get a sound, I find it a comforting thing, to have your own. This is the way I play.
Because it's your own identity. But in your music,
the way you play chords, the way that you do a thing, and then you have other guys who are seasoned and have their own styles, and when you bring those together, it's something that no one person could ever pull off.
And that's what makes awesome bands, is like all these people that have their own style and they're really good and they come together and the magic happens.
And it's so hard to explain. And it's cool to be going through this journey with a 12-year-old, seeing him get a lot of this experience. But he also works to the bone. He'll spend hours every day just jamming.
Yeah, and that's what you got to do, man. And it's getting back to where, like, there for a while, it was just like everybody was just trying to be as awesome as they could and be like the best drummer, the best guitarist or whatever. And so that was kind of the thing for a while. But it's getting back now to where people are like, I want to see your style. I want to see what you're all about. I want to see what you can bring and what your style is, not just you regurgitating something,
Right.
And so now it's all about like, oh, I like that guy. He may not be the best drummer, but he's got a cool style. The way he plays, the way he hits, the way he the way he accents certain things or just whatever, like.
Well, style is important. There's some not great drummers that have great style that are, you look at, take John Bonham, for instance. He's no Danny Carey, but he had such a badass style, and the way he did his fills, and
the way he attacked the drums
when he
hit
attacked
them.
There's nobody to this day that I love listening more than John Bonham. It's just
he developed my style. Really, I mean, a lot of my style.
We all owe him a great
is
day.
John Bonham, man. I mean, it's I've spent my life just trying to be him, and and so that's kind of influenced my style. Is like, I'm just trying to be him.
Yeah, that's the whole reason I bought that Les Paul up there is because Jimmy Page had one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now I hardly ever even play it because I can do way more with the Parker than I can that one.
Yeah.
Which you were talking about, getting black. I was telling the kids I was going to take the spider web off that guitar, and they're like, "You can't do that." I'm like, "I'm not in that gothic phase anymore. I was going to do something different." And they're like, "No, you got to leave it." No, I did name it Charlotte after the spider web, so it kind of does go with it. Yeah, those are the same two guitars I used to play with when back in the day. I've added a few to it, but yeah. I don't miss playing live though.
You don't?
I never did enjoy it. No,
oh, man.
I never did enjoy it as much as you did.
Yeah,
I'm more about like the writing process and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I like to play every now and then, but I don't like the grind of doing it very often.
Oh, I love it. I mean, that's why I do it.
I know. I get it.
Like I'm a live player. I feed off the crowd and the energy, and that's why I do. Is I want to get up and show off in front of people. With my band, I want to get up there and show off and like have fun and that to me that's what it's all about. And the just the energy, like between the crowd and you, and it's awesome, And writing is, I like writing and stuff. Writing is a lot of fun too. You have fun and you get excited like a little kid every time you do something really cool, and they're like, oh, this song is
so rewarding.
But then you got to record it, and I've never liked recording, so
I don't like recording basic tracks. I like going in and layering, throwing harmonies and little licks and stuff, and really producing it and kind of crafting it. That's what I like. But it's so funny. I had one of my coaches out the other day, and he's got a very different an entirely different genre of music that he listens to, right? But we have similar writing methods, but like we're all in such different camps musically. It's almost wild to think that we're all musicians, but everybody has their style or their blinder. Like kind of this is my lane. This is what I do. It's cool. And I like that.
This is what I do, and I do it like this, and I do it this way.
Yeah, you're all doing the same work essentially with the same goal to make great music, and But so. When you were a kid, what bands were you popping on, putting in the Walkman? Who all were you jamming to? You mentioned Metallica, Bonzo. I mean, who else?
Lots of stuff. Because I went through so many different phases. Growing up, like musically, like what I was
same.
into. Of course, early on, it's like classic rock, Led Zeppelin and the Who, and and just all that stuff, and then I got into metal, so then it was all about Metallica and Slayer, and then I really liked punk, so it was all about like Black Flag, the Misfits, Ramones, Sex Pistols, even like all that stuff, and punk was fun because it was easy, so and I could play it fast. I could learn a punk song super easy and play it through it, really really easy and really fast, and so that was always fun. I've always told people I'm a metalhead, like really down to the core. I'm a metalhead. I love my metal, and I love listening to metal.
Same.
But I'm a punk drummer because I love punk too. I listen to more metal and I like metal more, but I like to play punk. It's fun, man. It's fun. You can cut loose. You play fast and have fun. If you make a mistake, it's punk rock.
Exactly.
It's supposed to be there.
That's part of it.
Right?
Yeah.
So so it's like but yeah, I'd play like all kinds of stuff. I mean, from like classic rock to like metal and punk and Pantera. Just like all that cool stuff, and try to play through that stuff, and then trying to play through a lot, like when I was young, trying to play through like the really hard stuff to play, like the really like thrashy stuff like Death and Cannibal Corpse and all this stuff that's just like impossible to play when you're that young, but trying to play through that stuff, and
But even if you can't do it, you're still getting better in the process.
Because you're trying to do it. You're working at it, and eventually
you're putting the reps in.
Yeah, you can. Eventually, you'll play it, and you're like, oh wow, finally I got it.
Well, I was writing a riff the other day. It was in 7, and I was having trouble just playing the riff.
Yeah.
And I'm also learning it for the first time, so I'm really kind of struggling with it. And then you kept working on it. Now you can play it with your eyes closed. It's so easy now, but it's just it took you the reps to get there.
Yeah.
Put the work in.
Yeah. I mean, that's how a lot of that Dirtmother stuff. I mean, there's like stuff that's like it's like 3/4, 3/4, 4/4, 7/4, 3/4, 3/4. And
nice.
And stuff like that. And at first it's just like I can't do this. It doesn't make any sense. I can't play this. Or whatever. It's just changing too much. But then you finally get it, and you're like, oh. Yeah, it sounds really, really good, and I can do it now. So, I can do it, and when we all do it and it's tight, it sounds really good.
It does. It sounds tasty. If you got cool riffs, I mean, what about like you listening like Dream Theater, Tool? You into the prog stuff?
Yeah. Proggy stuff is fun. I've never been able to play it very well though, so I've just kind of left it alone.
It's a different kind of drumming.
Oh no,
listening to a Danny Carey or a Portnoy. I mean,
it's like you got to really, really love playing that style of music on drums, especially, and you got to.
It doesn't sound fun to play.
No.
Like, you know what I mean? Like it's too much thought.
It's too. Yeah, you got to think too much, man. You got to think too much. It's
a fucking engineering degree.
All those polyrhythms I mean, it's like my brain's not wired like that.
No.
So,
I respect the shit out of them.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. I can watch them and go, wow, that's amazing. I wish I could do that, but wow,
Yeah.
But no, I'm not wired like that.
Yeah.
But it's cool though. I mean, Dream Theater, Tool, all that Dragon Force. I mean, like all these bands that just like do this crazy stuff. I mean, Meshuggah does like insane stuff, and there's.
I remember Guitar Hero 3, Fire and Flames, Dragon Force at the end. It was like if you beat the game, like that was like one of the last songs. I mean, so many notes, and those guys are just nuts.
It's insane. It's so crazy. It's like how do you do that?
Well, I think there, like I was saying earlier, some people just don't have no matter how much I practice, I'm never going to be able to move my fingers that fast. I just can't.
Yeah.
You know, so it takes an extra level of just ability, natural born ability. Plus the work.
Yeah, and also just being wired to like play like that, you know. I mean, like some people just like that's how they think, and that's, you know, and whatever, you know, and so like they're just you know, built to do that, but no, not me. I mean, you know, like, I mean, and they like that. I mean, they like the challenge of like, oh, you know, this is gonna stump me every time I play it, but that challenge of it, just like they love it, you know.
Well, it's like in sports, you don't have a Michael Jordan come along very often.
Yeah.
It's like if you have more ability, you don't have to work as hard.
Yeah.
Right. But if you have the ability and the work hard, then you're unstoppable.
Then nothing's gonna stop you.
But not a lot of people with the ability want to work hard, and not a lot of people who want to work hard have the ability. It's kind of a, you know, what dose of it did you get? I know people that just try so hard at whatever it is, being a comedian or being a writer or whatever, and they just don't have the thing, but they keep doing it, and it's like, what else are you supposed to do? You love it, you know?
Yeah. If you like, then if you love it, you're gonna just like keep doing it and keep trying. And
yeah, absolutely. I mean, with anything. You read a lot? You do?
I don't, because I love to read, but I always, and people say that you're just not reading the right things, but I read and I get tired and I go to sleep while I'm reading, and then I'm like,
you gotta have a right time and play. And we're in such a multitasking world now.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm only doing one thing when I'm reading.
Yeah.
Whereas like anything else I'm doing, at least I got a radio on, I'm playing video games. You know, you're doing 2 or 3 things. And it feels like
multitasking like crazy. And then that's like the one thing where you
you gotta focus.
And that's where I think it's like I read and I'm just doing that, and since I'm only doing one thing, and I just tend to go.
Yeah, especially at night for me.
Because that's generally when I have time to read, is at night. That's after I'm already worn out, and you know. And,
do that thing where you'll read the same paragraph over and over and over. Like one of these times you're gonna break through. And
like I'll get to the next paragraph or something. Yeah, maybe. Hopefully.
No, it's so funny how your body wants to go to sleep and you're trying to stop it and you can't.
Yeah.
You just.
Especially the older you get, man, was what I'm realizing. The older I get, it's like
old age is crazy. Yeah, I mean, we're not even old, but like just the transition period. Like, what year were you born?
It's okay, 73.
73. Okay, you're a little older now.
I'm old, dude.
You look great.
Thank you. I'm 51, man.
Damn, dude. Yeah. What is your secret, bro?
I don't know.
You look younger than I do.
Oh no,
I'm the 81 class.
I don't know. Luck. I don't know.
Man.
Well, I have one theory. I don't have kids, so that's one thing.
That could be part of it.
You know, I have way less stress since I don't have kids.
That could be.
And and I just never grew up. I just never I just never grew up. I think I'm stuck in 8th grade, and I've always.
Is that what year you would go back to?
Yeah, 8th
I would
grade,
say, was that
probably,
when it was kicking?
Probably, with just enough just enough maturity to not be completely
right.
But probably 8th grade. I think I just halted there and just stayed there.
Yeah, so many people just completely grow up, and it's no fun. Like everything is so serious and so. Yeah. But I find the people who are the most rooted in like anybody that forgets where they came from. Just take us like a director or VP in a corporation that completely forgets what it's like to be on the ground floor, right? And it's the same thing. Yeah. Adults, you forget what it's like to be a kid.
Yeah, and I mean, and I guess since I never grew up, but people will say they'll. Like, oh, you must eat really, really healthy, and you work out all the time, and you don't drink, and you don't. And I'm like, no, I don't do any of that stuff.
Right.
I don't. I mean, maybe I should, but I don't eat healthy. I don't, I don't do any of that stuff. I still drink.
So you got the ability, but you're not having to put in the work.
Yeah, I know.
You don't have to.
I'm lucky. Or good genes. I don't know.
And I'm assuming you don't dye the hair either, because there's no gray there.
I've got some gray.
A little bit.
Yeah, I got some gray.
That's impressive. But, I mean, do you remember the mohawk that you used to rock back in the day?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
What were you using in that? Was that wax?
Yeah. I was using like flat top wax. It was like old flat top wax that they would use to do like the old greasers used to do.
Yeah.
The pompadours and all that stuff. That, and then also sometimes I would use the egg whites. And then when I was a kid, I had a mohawk, and it was It was pretty tall and
substantial.
And back then we used Elmer's wood glue.
Did you really?
Elmer's wood glue and put it in that and
Damn.
and hold it up. Sometimes we would slap boards on it or something, you know,
Really?
just something plastic, you know, whatever, and just keep it flat for a while and take it and it would dry and then you had your mohawk up there.
Cool.
But with Elmer's wood glue, like that's like permanent. So like, you know, you could rock it for a while, but then after a while you would have to, like, if you wanted to get rid of it, you had to shave.
Yeah,
you
had to go down.
Start all over.
I was telling my kids about your mohawk, and they asked me what you use, and I was like, I thought it was wax, because I'd never heard of anybody using wax in their hair before. You telling me about that.
Yeah, it was like flat top wax.
I don't think I'm making that up, but I'll ask him.
Yeah, that, and then I had the spiky Sid Vicious kind of, you know, like for a while where it would be different colors.
Yeah.
You know, all just sticking every which direction, you know, and.
You remember that when Prime STH came through? That show?
Yeah.
That was wild. I'll never forget those guys after the show. I think I've probably told this story before, but it was the first signing of a female breast I'd ever seen. And these dudes coming off the stage, and this lady comes out, and she's probably in her late 50s, and just flops this flapjack out. And I was like, whoa, that is not how I wanted this to go down my first time witnessing this.
First time I didn't want it to look like that.
No, not at all. I was so disappointed. But what are some of the, like, I'm assuming since you like playing, you like watching shows as well, like you like going to concerts.
Yeah.
And what was the coolest show you ever went to?
Oh man, God, the coolest. Oh man,
You've seen a lot of fucking music in your day.
I've seen a lot of shows. God, man, back in the day, oh man, like Metallica, saw Metallica. It
What year?
Yeah. Oh God, it was Injustice for All tour.
Okay, so old school Metallica.
Old school Metallica, and it was at
I saw them in '98.
It was at War. I think it was at War Memorial Stadium.
Really?
I think, yeah, in Little Rock.
Damn.
And it's when I still lived, you know, down south with my parents, and went there, and they had the Scales of Justice.
Yeah?
You know? Yeah, and they would blow it up at the end of the show. They would blow the Scales of Justice up, and Arkansas apparently told them they weren't supposed to do that because they knew about the show, and they were like, "Don't do that here. We respect the law and we respect the justice system and whatever. And don't do that, or you're not coming back."
Right.
And of course, Metallica at the end of the show they did, and we just loved the fact that they did it even though they weren't supposed to. And they told them, they were like, "Okay, your Arkansas does not welcome you back. Metallica's not welcome back to Arkansas." The next album, the Black Album. Huge. Everybody's worshiping Metallica because they put out the Black Album, and they played Arkansas when they went on tour for the Black Album and they had the Snake Pit. Yeah. You know, and I went to that show too. I went to saw them for the Black Album.
I saw them on the Black Album too.
Yeah, and incredible. I had some friends that actually had the Snake Pit seats, which were crazy expensive.
I bet.
Yeah, I mean, like, or you had to win them off of a radio station or something like that. You know, but yeah, I had some friends that got Snake Pit tickets, and they were right there, like basically in the center of the stage with Metallica. You know.
How important do you think the Black Album was in the context of musical history?
Oh man, I mean, it just
because metal wasn't a household genre.
It wasn't then. I mean, and it basically said, hey, metal's a thing, and it can make money, and it can make money. Yeah, it can sell stadium tours, you know, and you know, like it can sell out tours all around the world, and so just get ready, you know. And people were like, wow, yeah, I like metal. Metal's cool, you know. Metal's good.
Well, your parents seemed like they were pretty cool with you listening to all kinds of shit, like metal, punk, or
no. I mean, they didn't like
give you any shit.
They didn't like the music I listened to.
Oh, they didn't like it, but they let you listen to it.
Yeah, no. I mean, I wasn't supposed to.
Okay, you weren't supposed to.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
No. I mean, even to the point where my mom found a bunch of like my album, like Slayer albums, and you know, like Cannibal Corpse and like all this stuff, and of course the album covers are gory and just all kinds of. And so I had I had to go out back behind my house and set them on fire.
Oh,
my mom was like, "We're getting rid of this garbage. You're not gonna have this. You're not gonna listen to this. So we're setting it on fire." And I'm like, "No, Mom, this is my album. This is my CDs. I don't want to. I paid money for this. And no, we're not gonna listen to this music in this house, Jay. You know this." let's set them on fire, you know. And so
Yeah.
I had to set them on fire, and then turn around and go out and buy them again.
Buy them again,
and find better hiding places.
or find. Well, I was gonna say, I
Find
just
hiding
got
places.
more creative with hiding it.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, exactly.
just dub it onto a cassette and label it DC Talk.
Yeah,
and never
uh-huh,
gets
yeah,
touched, right?
yeah,
And, just go
exactly.
and listen to my Marilyn Manson. You know.
Exactly. Yeah. I just started hiding it and found better hiding places, and you know.
That's what it forces kids to do.
Yeah, I mean,
If you
because I was going to continue to listen to it, so.
Right. Well, you know, growing up, obviously, the 70s, 80s, you had rock stars, and rock stars were crazy people.
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
the death of the rock star was one of the first big, like, American changes for me. It's like, after 2000s and, you know, getting into 2010 and onward, you know, everything's digital. Everything's on streaming sites.
Mm-hmm.
People aren't listening to the radio as much. There's, I think, how did Portnoy put it? He was like, when we were playing in the 90s, there were thousands of bands making millions of dollars. Now there's millions of bands making thousands. Right? Like, it's there's so many people.
It's completely flipped.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
And
I
that
mean,
sucks, kind of, in a way, but it's
yeah.
also more awesome because you and I can do it and make it sound as good as our guys do that we listen to for a fraction of the price.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and you don't have to have this big, you know, badass studio that has the best acoustics in the world, you know, in order for your album to sound really good. You can just do it wherever, and it doesn't matter if the acoustics are good or not. I mean, you know, so... Yeah, I mean...
It's an exciting time, but I also miss the rock star.
Yeah.
The Scott Weilands, you know, the Lane Staley's.
I do too. I mean, it got to where, you know, in like, you know, the early 2000s and like even like the late 90s, it got to where it, you know, became cool to be a band that was just a bunch of just average guys, you know. We're just a bunch of average guys, and we're not rock stars. We just like to write music and play music and go on tour, but we're nobody special. And that was cool because it was like, okay, anybody can do it. I can do it. You can do it.
And it was such a change from the glam of the 80s.
Yeah. But it kind of that also kind of killed the rock star thing. You know, the fact that these guys are like have been, you know, playing music and being on tour and making videos for like, you know, 2 decades, you know, and you worship them because, you know, like, oh, that's James Hetfield, oh my God, you know, or like, oh, that's, you know, Steven Tyler from Aerosmith, like, oh, he's a rock god, you know, like, you know, that kind of changed because it kind of showed everybody like anybody can do this, you know, I mean, like, you don't have to be a super rock star.
But that had always been true.
You know,
it was
but people didn't realize
it.
So, I mean, and that was cool that it became that way, but then it kind of also kind of killed that whole, you know.
Scott Stapp tried to bring it back
for
a minute.
He tried. Yeah, he tried.
Didn't pan out so well. Yeah, that was an interesting time. So, you obviously were a little older than I was when the 90s, but were you pretty receptive to grunge when it started coming out?
Yeah. I did. I really got into it. I mean, just because it was like, especially like Nirvana, because it was like, oh my God, they're grungy and they're gritty and they're punk, but they're also poppy enough to be on the radio. And like, and so they really got the formula down, you know, like they're gonna make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And you know, and like, you know, and Soundgarden and, you know, STP and just all them, you know, I mean, you know.
Nirvana's a weird one because Kurt wasn't very good at anything other than writing really catchy melodies.
Yeah.
He wasn't a great guitar player, wasn't a great singer. He had a unique voice, but he wasn't like a great singer. Like a Chris Cornell, per se. But the dude wrote in spaces people didn't usually play in, melodically. And so he's taking these chords and making it sound very easy. Which you compare a lot of the things that came after to what Kurt did, and it doesn't come anywhere close. Do you think he could have sustained that had he lived?
See, I don't know. I mean, because he seemed like he was just done. Like he seemed like he wanted a career in music forever, and then he finally got it, and he was like, okay, I'm done.
Do you think it was just humanity he was sickened with?
Yeah. I just think I think honestly he just thought we were all a bunch of dumbasses, and he just was tired of dealing with us. You know, like it seemed almost like that. Like he just kind of thought like, almost like everybody was just dumbasses, or everybody was like beneath him or something in a way. And so I don't know.
I mean, never gonna be in his head, but like so many people want to be famous or want to be celebrities, and I don't know, and maybe you do. But to me, that that sounds like a terrifying ordeal.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, you think about everybody wanting a piece of you, of your time, of your energy, of just
constantly giving of yourself all the time, and it never stops.
it's never off.
Break.
Right.
Yeah, you never get a break from having to constantly give of yourself. You know,
At least at that level.
Yeah.
I mean, he was as famous got for
Yeah.
5-year period there.
Yeah. I mean, and it's got to be exhausting, you know. I mean, you think like you know, everybody strives for that, and then you get it, and then you don't want it anymore, you know. But you think like, because I used to think like, I'm like, oh, these guys are all a bunch of wusses. They worked their asses off and to get to that point, and they finally got it, and now they don't want it. You know, like what's up with that? But yeah, it's because I mean, you're constantly giving of yourself, and you're constantly giving pieces of yourself away every single day.
Yeah.
And there's no break. I mean,
To fans, to media, to whoever.
to
Yeah.
your record label, to your managers, to your I mean everybody. And so it's got to be exhausting, you know.
Yeah.
But
that's why politicians scare me so much. Is not only are they okay with it, like they thrive in it.
yeah, they
Just
like
always having to be that fake piece of shit, you know. And that's what I think the artist struggles with so much, is because that's not their, you know, bullshitting and doing all that political stuff isn't their game.
Yeah,
You know, they
it's
want
not
to
their-
be writing or playing music, and you're forcing them to do interviews and do all this schmoozing kind of stuff, and it just doesn't sound.
and doing stuff they don't really want to do, you know.
Right,
You know, but they got to do it to play the game, to make a little money, to have a career, you know.
Yeah.
So that they can continue to do it, you know.
And you go to travel, you're probably doing 2, 3, 4 interviews a day, getting asked the exact same fucking questions, right?
Yeah. I
And
mean,
you can't be a dick, and
yeah.
because they don't know that you just answered that 3 or 4 times,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
you know, you didn't have YouTube. Nowadays, I feel like you can, if you're a journalist, you can probably go watch a bunch of interviews and try and come up with something original. But like back then, like how do you read every magazine and clipping? It's just, I don't know. It's so weird to think. I don't know. Just the concept of celebrity in and of itself was kind of wild.
Yeah. I mean, when I was younger, I used to think, I want to be like famous, and I want everyone. I don't want to be able to walk down the street without people grabbing me and being like, "Hey, Jay," you know. But yeah, you know, you get older and you're like, no.
I think Joe Rogan was telling a story one time. He's like, if he goes out with his friends, they have to like call in advance, have the order ready, because it's about 15 minutes from when they get there to when people just start coming in. Because people will call and say, "Hey, Joe Rogan's here," whoever it is.
Yeah.
Steve Tyler, right? And so people start showing up, and it just becomes this thing where everybody's just staring at you.
Yeah.
You know,
and you're just wanting to just like have fun,
just chill out with your
hang out
friends,
with your
and
friends,
that's
you know?
something you no longer have freedom.
Yeah. No.
Really.
No.
You know,
you
but-
totally gave that away. You know, like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be.
And I think that freaked Kirk out.
Yeah.
Kirk, I think I don't think it was everything he thought it was going to be.
Yeah. I think it was just too much, you know. I mean, I think it's great. Like Dave Grohl seemed to handle it. I mean, he seemed to handle it nicely, and he parlayed it into, you know, Foo Fighters, and then, you know, like and he's been able to, you know, and he's getting some crap now because, you know, he's having another kid, you know, that wasn't planned and whatever, but, you know.
Was there a scandal with that? Was it like outside of his wife?
Yeah,
Is that
mean,
what it was?
Yeah, because it was outside of his marriage,
Okay.
you know, and he ended up, you know, they ended up getting pregnant, having a kid, you know, and stuff, but you know, and people fault him and act like he's the worst human being in the world for it, but I mean, all this time that he's been like super famous and rich and in the eye, and that's all he's done. I mean, yeah, he cheated on his wife, not cool, but if that's all he's done in all this time.
One thing I've really noticed is people really want to point fingers. It's like, man, if you were scrutinized as much as this person, you know, none of us are perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's this whole attitude that just disgusts me, where you're trying to call out and shit on somebody for making a mistake.
Yeah.
When it's like, well, thank God you're not a celebrity.
Yeah, because we all got skeletons in our
Everybody.
closets. I mean, like, you know,
Like literal ones in my case.
yeah.
You know. Joking, people. Yeah, I couldn't imagine having that kind of scrutiny on you all the time.
Yeah, I mean, people watching you constantly, you know.
That's why I think it's kind of cool now, in that because there's not the rock star anymore, it does humanize it a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know, some of my favorite bands are, you know, pretty small, but they're just doing shit that I really like and I'm into it, but it's not, you know, this massive thing. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think you'll ever have another Journey.
Yeah.
I mean, do you?
Yeah. No, I mean,
You
really
still have stadium bands now, but they're very well established bands. I mean,
Yeah.
you're having some young folks with some stadiums, but I feel like it's more like the pop figures.
yeah. Oh, yeah. It's all the pop stars.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
which is really just a construct of a record label.
Yeah.
Not a lot of them. I mean, some of them are talented, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
But a lot of them are just constructs of,
yeah, they're just put together. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, just created by the record company, and I know.
Do you remember the first time you recorded a song?
Yes. It was in is when I was in high school, when I was playing in that glam metal band, that hair metal
Really?
band that I was in. Yeah, the very first time I ever recorded. Yeah, when I was in high school, and we went in to record like a couple of original songs of ours, and it was a guy in South Arkansas that had a recording studio way out in BFE, and it took us forever to get there, and we didn't even know where we were going, but we finally found it, and and we went and recorded. And he just had like a recording studio set up like in his house, and we just went and just recorded there, and it was like horrendous. It was so bad because I was having to record. It was my first time to ever record. And I'm recording just the drum tracks by themselves without any guitar or anything, and I was getting lost in the song.
Yeah.
I didn't know where I was, and I kept having to do. I think
What were you listening to?
Huh?
What were you listening
I was
to?
just nothing. I didn't.
You were just playing
I was
it?
just playing.
Hoping?
Yes.
That's awful.
Yeah, I mean, I was just playing the song by memory with no guitar.
That's terrible.
Because they were like, we can't have the guitar, and I said,
can't have the bleed.
I said, can't we do just a
live track?
A scratch live guitar track that I can play
And then
along
you play
to the
over
And
it.
they're like, no, because it'll bleed, and it'll bleed into the mics, and it'll make your drum track sound horrible because you'll have the bleed. And I was like, so I'm supposed to play the song just me by myself with no
insane.
metronome and just play it by memory. And the guy was like, well, yeah, that's called recording, kid. That's what you do. You go in and you record the song by memory, just you. He's like, now the bass player will get to play to your drum tracks, and then
Right.
the guitarist will get to play to the guitar or the drums.
But
And the
you as the
bass.
drummer are God
but
here.
you're
You
the
just
first.
create
You're
it
the first part of the
perfectly.
puzzle, and so you just do your thing. And I'm like,
That's
okay,
nuts.
I'll give it a shot. I don't think I can do this. And he was like, well, I mean, if you want something recorded, then you will. He was kind of being an ass about it.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, well, I told you I've never done this before, but
Right.
he was acting like I was someone that's done it a million times, and I was just kind of being a dumbass.
What
or
an
something,
attitude.
Yeah.
That's
So
weird.
I went in and I was doing it. I think we did 2 songs. We were supposed to do. We were planning on doing like 8 songs. Or
Yeah,
something,
yeah.
because we were stupid kids. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
Stupid
But,
Kids is right.
yeah, so
we also had a similar.
But we ended up doing like 2 songs. I barely got those done, and it took me forever. And I think I played each song like probably 30 or 40 times. I mean, like literally, like because it was just. Yeah,
That's
just so that I could
nuts.
maybe just like get one take that was good, and so I played each song like literally 20 to 30 times or something.
Were y'all using reel to reel back
Yeah.
then? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a different beast too.
Yeah, and so I was just like, it was a nightmare. I mean, I was just like, I don't ever want to do that again.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm all about playing shows and playing live and playing, whatever, but I don't want to do that ever again for the
Yeah.
rest of my life. Like, I'm done with that. I'm
That
not doing
almost
that.
ruins you on recording.
Uh-huh.
That would almost ruin a fellow on recording.
Well, and people were like, like my band members were like, Jay, I mean, you said you plan on doing this. I mean, this is what you're going to do for a living one day, right? I mean, you're going to be a drummer and blah, blah, blah. You're going to have to learn to do that, man, if you're going to be a drummer. I mean, you got to record, and just to go on tour. If you want to do the touring part and all the fun part, you got to do that recording. And I was like, how am I gonna do this, man? Because I hate that, and still to this day,
Yeah.
I don't like recording. I hate recording. It's just, to me, it's a means to an end. It's like I got to get it recorded so we can get it on something, so that we can play shows, that we can go, hey, you want to buy our album?
Yeah.
And like we if you like what you heard, we got it on.
Yeah.
So
I almost want the Black Crowes did this for their Before the Frost album. They recorded it live. They got so fucking good at it
Yeah.
and proficient, and they even did it in front of an audience. Like, you can hear, like, it's a very select few people, like friends and family. You can hear like clapping at the end of the tracks, and I think that'd be a fun project to just work up an album, get it fucking tight, and just record it live.
Yeah.
Maybe do 2 shows, record them both, take the better versions, and then you go in and fix it a little bit. But I think that would be the way to really do it.
Yeah, no, that's
Because that takes out all that bullshit you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, and that's I mean, for some reason that's what I thought we were gonna do. Even till the day we got there, when I was a kid recording for the first time, I thought we'll just go in and we'll just bash out the song, you know, and everything, and you know we may have to play the songs, you know, 4, 5, 6 times or something, but then after that, I'm sure we'll have a drum track, and then, you know, if anybody else messed up, then they can, you know, redo their parts or whatever, but at least my drums will be done or whatever. No, it was like he got there and the guy was like, he was just like pretty much laughing at me. He was like, dude, no, that's not the way it's done, man. Like, you're gonna do your part and then the bass will do on top of you and then the guitar. And then I was like, I just figured we would just jam, man. Like we do at practice and just rock out, you know. And he was like, no, that's
You're
not
telling me that story about driving out with my first recording experience. I think I was 15, and one of the guys knew, our bass player knew a guy that lived out in the middle of nowhere, and we'd drive out there, and he's got a little recording studio set up out in his like little outbuilding, and I'd never done any recording before either, you know. We did it live though, like we literally all recorded at once, and then we'd do some overdubs, so I didn't have the horror story you did, but I like once you heard it back after it was finished, was it cool enough to like break through your bad experience?
Yeah. Well, I mean, after we heard it, it was like, oh wow.
Yeah, was that pretty exciting?
Just listen to us, man. We're recorded. That's us, man.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you know.
You still have a copy of that? No.
I wish.
Man.
No. I don't have. The only thing I've got is like pretty much from. The only things I have recorded is from 90, I think like 94 on. And that was like my first band when I moved to Fayetteville. I was in a band called Special Needs. Okay. And we recorded at the Peace and Justice Center, which was right there off Dixon Street, right behind the rooftop.
Yeah,
right behind that. There used to be a building right behind there, and it was called the Peace and Justice Center, and a lot of bands would rent it out to like practice. Like if they just didn't have a practice space, they would just go and rent it out to practice, or you could rent it out to record. Yeah, you know, and stuff. And so so Special Needs recorded there, like in I don't know, like 94, 95 or something like that, and so that was like, and I have some of that, you know. Recorded, and then after that, pretty much every band recorded, and I've got like either a CD or something. You know?
Well, what were you guys? I mean, that first session, what did you? Were you all able to take home a cassette even?
Yeah. Like the very first time when I was a teenager. Yeah. Well, what happened was, you know, we left, and he mixed it. Mixed it and all that, and the other whatever, and then he like ended up. I think our bass player drove back out there and got a cassette that had it on there and stuff, and we're like, you know, and so then of course he made copies. Yeah. He made copies with his cassette player, you know, and like made copies for everybody so that we all had, you know, and so then we just made copies like that, you know, that way, and just like literally with a Sharpie just wrote Chaos, you know, and the songs on there, and just gave them to people, you know, or like we would try to charge people for them, and if they didn't have the money for it, you know, hey, the cassettes are $2, you know, and if someone, I don't have $2, well, here you go, whatever.
It's promotional material.
Yeah, whatever. Take
write
it
off
anyway,
as a loss. Somebody's getting your shit.
But I don't have any of that. I'm probably glad I don't, because it's probably horrible.
Man, there's some
probably sucks.
There's some beauty in that too. Like I was very meticulous from pretty much day one of songwriting. So I've got like the first songs I ever recorded. And I used to record them on the cassette, and then once CDs came out, I was obsessed with like converting them from cassette to CD. So I recorded all of it and then split them out into tracks. Ton of work. I would never have the energy or give a shit to do that again now. But when I was 15 or 16, and you know, I had the opportunity to go back, and of course it wasn't a daunting task back then. There were maybe just 2 or 3 cassettes that I had to do, because digital came out 95, 96, which wasn't too long after I'd started. But there's a lot of just terrible. And again, we talked about, you're trying to emulate when you're that age versus have your own style and identity.
Yeah.
When do you think how do you think you developed? You just take the ingredients of all the people you like and kind of just do your own thing with it?
Yeah. I just took all my favorite drummers and just mashed it all into one is essentially what I did, really,
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, really heavily influenced by,
Well, so let's do that. Like, who are your top 5? You think most influential drummers on you personally?
on me, probably John Bonham for sure, Lars Ulrich, Dave Lombardo from Slayer, let's see, Charlie Benante from Anthrax and SOD. He was in the SOD. I'm trying to think who else. It was really Neil Peart. Even though I'm not a prog drummer, he really just showed me a totally different way of playing, the way that you can play, because I just didn't play like that, so that was cool. God, I'm trying to think who else.
You named 5. I mean, those are. I mean, you definitely got a penchant for that punk metal vein kind of stuff. Peart was kind of a weird one. I didn't expect you to say that, but he's awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm not a massive Rush fan, but I'm a huge Neil Peart fan.
Yeah. And I mean, he's just amazing. And like I said, it just showed me a totally different, because there's prog, there's prog, prog jazz, jazz is so prog, and all that stuff, but it was like that kind of stuff showed me that you could do prog and still rock. You could still rock, but be proggy too, and I didn't know you could do that until Neil. I just didn't realize you could be proggy but still rock out, and it totally just changed my view on wow, you can do that stuff but still be a rockin' drummer, But John Bonham probably really, and Lars Ulrich.
To me, one of the coolest musical moments in history is in Black Dog, when he's just playing in 4 and Jimmy goes into 5 for a second, and if you listen to it, it does come off the rails for a second and then comes back in.
Always,
it's so crazy
because Bonham just kept it so solid.
Yes,
and then he just came back around.
But I'd never, growing up hearing it, it doesn't sound off. Unless somebody points it out and you start focusing on it. Actually, I was trying to learn the song, I think, on guitar. It was like, what? These drums are fucked up. What is he doing? He's doing something wrong, but it's so right.
No, and that's a lot of what I liked about him was that he taught me, and Led Zeppelin taught me that the drummer can be doing one thing, the guitarist can go off and do a different, and then come back and it still sounds good. You don't have to always you can be playing in 4/4, he can be playing in 5/4, boom, and come back, or just whatever, you don't always. Everybody in the band doesn't have to always be playing the exact same time signature.
Bonzo's key for a number of things. One of those, to me, is sometimes simple is the best way to go. Sometimes people try to overcomplicate things, and that guy's a great example of, he could get nuts and do a lot of dynamic shit, but sometimes the best way is to just play straight through it, man. Don't overthink it. Try it simple first. If it doesn't work, then maybe go, but
and keep it solid, and then keep it real solid, and then everybody, like I said, everybody else can whatever, they can weave in and out of whatever's going on with the drums, but the drums are keeping it solid, then you're good,
Well, and drummers, more than anybody else in the band, are more responsible for the dynamic shifts in tone. Because, you got volume knobs on a guitar, but drummers can take it down and they can bring it up. And Bonzo was great at building that tension. Really, he could play soft, he could play heavy, but you knew when it was building up. I can't think of anybody since him. I mean, Matt Cameron's really good. But Neil Peart. But nobody for me beats Bonzo. What about Keith Moon? Were you a big?
I like Keith Moon because
he's a wild man.
I should have mentioned him. Because he was a wild man and he was so unpredictable and nobody played like him. I mean, nobody on the planet could play like him because really. Because you just don't know what he's doing. Sometimes there'd be songs I would listen to of The Who, and I would try to sit down and count it out, and I would try to figure out what he's doing, and I'm like, I don't know.
I don't know.
What he's doing. It sounds amazing. But I have no idea what he's doing right there. Like on the drums, he could be on the toms. He could be doing that with his kick. He could just be doing really fast fills or something.
But it works.
Yeah.
There's times where, like, during a verse, he's just soloing and going nuts, and the chorus will kick in, and he'll drop it to the pocket.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Why would you do that?
And you're
but
like,
it fucking works.
That's the opposite of what you're supposed to do.
It's the opposite of what you're supposed to do, but guys like that take chances.
Yeah.
Or just to be contrarian, maybe, but if it sounds good, what's it matter?
Yeah.
People just don't take chances in music, really, anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy. And one time, one of my favorite stories about him was that like he was recording, he was playing this like drum fill so fast on the snare drum that they weren't able to record it. It was so fast that the microphones couldn't pick it up and record every little tap that he was doing
crazy.
because the mics just weren't powerful enough. So what they did was they turned up the mics on the snare as loud as they could, and they had him do it several times. And then they went out the next day and they recorded firing a machine gun, and they compared the snare drum fill that he was doing to the machine gun, and he was playing faster than the machine gun. He was playing more notes and playing faster than the machine gun could shoot bullets. It was like they were just like, no way he's playing faster than a machine gun can shoot. But sure.
Have you seen some of the YouTube machine gun percussion videos?
No.
So there's guys that I'll look it up later and send it to you, but like there'll be a rapper and a dude with a machine gun who's doing the beat on these firearms. It's crazy.
Oh wow.
And he's got I think it's called the Machine Gun Drummer. I think that's what he's called. His channel's called, but he has just different beats on these machine guns. It's wild.
Yeah, I mean, Keith Moon was wow. It was just like so unpredictable. But, yeah, like Static UK, one of the first bands I was in. They wanted to play a Substitute or something, and they were like, can you play it? And I was like, no, it's Keith Moon, I can't play it. And they were like, oh, come on, yeah, you can. I was like, no, I mean, I can't. I can't play like Keith. And they're like, well, just play something kind of like him, though. I mean, I was like, so we worked something out, but I was like, I can't play like Keith Moon. I mean, like, no, nobody can play like that. So I mean, I can try, but it's not gonna sound. They were like, well, you don't have to sound exactly like that.
Yeah.
But, just so yeah.
Well, how much of an influence were the Who on just stage performance? Man?
Oh yeah, I mean
these guys came out. They weren't the Beatles in their suits.
Yeah, no, they were like.
These guys were smashing and breaking.
I mean, they were going balls to wall. I mean, the whole time. I mean, like they were just like it was just insane. And then Keith Moon like blowing up his drum set, and stuff, and like.
But see, those are the stories I grew up on hearing about rock stars, right? And then Ozzy Osbourne's and all this crazy shit, and then we get the grunge dudes were pretty tame compared to all that.
Oh yeah.
Because it was like you said, it was just regular guys. I mean, Eddie Vedder did some antics climbing up rafters and shit, but he wasn't throwing fucking shit out of a hotel, window, and it was a different kind of thing. Lane Staley obviously was more of he was more of like just, I wouldn't say he was like a rock star more than he was like a tortured kind of
anything. Yeah, he was more like a.
He was an addict, and he struggled with hard. Scott Weiland, I'd say, might be more in that kind of. He was kind of a wild man.
Yeah. I saw a video actually today of Eddie Vedder at a show in '94, and I can't remember where it was. I think maybe Madison Square Garden or something. But it was a big show, and in the middle of the show, he just got obsessed with taking his mic stand and creating a hole in the stage. So he was just like, while the band's playing, he's just using his mic stand to bash a hole into the stage, and then he just climbed down through the hole and disappeared.
I heard that one.
I mean, I was like, what's he doing? And he was bashing a hole. He made a hole, like a manhole almost, and he used his mic to do that. And he didn't seem like he was mad while he was doing it. He just seemed very eager and very intent on making a hole in the middle of the stage. And then once he made it, he just like climbed in it and boop, he just like disappeared, like he was climbed into a manhole.
He's a strange character.
And I mean, why? Why would you want to do that? It seems like he'd want to just perform the show and have fun being on stage with his bros, and but no, he was intent on creating a hole in the stage and disappearing through it.
Do you remember when Pearl Jam started releasing the bootleg albums?
Yeah.
I thought that was cool as shit.
Yeah.
And now pretty much everybody does it, and you can get an album of the show. Like we did that with Matchbox 20 at the Amp.
Yeah.
We saw them at the Amp, and then I was able to just buy the audio.
Yeah.
So now I have the concert I went to.
Yeah.
And a live album.
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of times you can get it like as you're leaving.
Mm-hmm.
Like now you can like see the show and you can leave. You can be in your car going home and get it as you're driving home.
Yeah, the
you
digital
know?
copies, yeah.
Yeah.
That's such a cool thing, and they really pioneered that. 'Cause they did, was it somewhere in was it Boston? They did like, it was like a 4.5 hour show.
Yeah.
And they did the bootleg of it. It's like the longest show they've ever done. And they played like 75% of their total catalog in that show. You know, it's like, I don't know how those guys remember all that shit.
Yeah.
Because they've got a massive catalog. And, you know, a lot of bands, what they'll do is they'll basically tailor their set down to their 9 or 10 hits and a newer song or two.
Yeah,
But Pearl Jam has never cut anything out of their set.
Yeah, yeah.
Like they'll play anything.
They just keep
else.
adding to it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so now it's just massive, and it's like that's a lot more challenging than just playing your singles.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
over and over. Which I get it. I know why bands do that. That's what people are familiar with. That's what they want to hear.
What they want to hear.
But you're also catering to the people who aren't hardcore fans.
Yeah.
You're catering to like the normie fans, not the deep cut people who are buying every record and listening to it. So that's why I appreciate that Pearl Jam will dig something out of a, you know, like a fucking 90s B-side or something.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. And they'll go on tour and they'll play and they will play a different set list every night for like 3 months.
Oh,
and then finally they'll start playing that first set list. I mean, you know, like they'll go 3 months playing almost every night and they'll never play the same set list.
But I love that. They're giving back.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I feel like they're putting in extra work most bands aren't.
And that's another thing that I don't like in music right now.
Yeah.
It's like I will tell you, like from someone that's like doing it, bands don't play like back in our day, you know, like especially mine because I'm older than you. The goal was play as long as you can. If you're a really good band, you can get up there and play for 3 hours.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, you got the catalog, you got the chops,
Yep,
you got
absolutely.
the stamina. You can get up there and play for 3 hours, and if you can get up there and play for 3 hours, you're a badass.
Yeah.
You know, now bands get up there and give you 45 minutes if you're lucky, and they're done. They're
Yeah.
like, yeah, there you go. I gave you 45 minutes, and it's like, but you're the headliner. I thought you'd play at least an hour.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, you know, but they're not
Yeah.
about that anymore. Now they're just, they want to get up there and they want to play a few songs and be done, you know, and
Yeah.
like give you 30, maybe 45 minutes if you're lucky. And that's it. And that's a drastic change from like, you know, the way it used to be, you know, because I remember like even like Special Needs, my very first band I was in Fayetteville, we would get up and we would play shows and we would play for 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
You know, like every single time we played, we would play for 2.5 hours. You know, granted, back then it was the 90s and everybody's, you know, fucked up on drugs and having a good time and whatever, and so they want to hear a lot of music for a long time because they're messed up and they want to enjoy their buzz and see a good, you know, a good.
Was
band.
that why we had such a good scene? People were on the right drugs.
I think so.
How do we get those drugs back?
I know. How do we get that back? But no, man. Now it's like bands are so like, they're like, oh, like when bands are like, even my bands, when we're creating set lists and stuff, we'll be like, okay, but that's a good 40 minutes. We're good. And I'm like, let's play. I'll be like, let's play for an hour. Let's play longer. Let's play. No, we're good. Let's just do like 40 minutes and we'll call it a night. And I'm like, really though? I mean, you know, it's like I don't want to set up my drums and go through all that work of like setting them up and making sure they sound good and all that, and then just play for 30 minutes and then tear them back down and load them back up. You know, like if I'm going to set up my stuff, I want to play. You know, I want to play for a while and have fun. You know, make it worth my while.
Well, that's why I think bands like Metallica and Pearl Jam have become so popular, is because not only are they talented, but they put in the work. I mean, it's not uncommon for Pearl Jam to play a 4-hour show.
Yeah, exactly.
When I saw Metallica in Kansas City in '98, they played a 2-hour set, and I was like, man, that's awesome. They played 2 hours. Oh, excuse me. They played an hour and a half, which is 90 minutes, and then they came out and did a 45-minute acoustic set, unplugged.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, man, they played 2 hours and 15 minutes. Well, then they came on again to do their encore, which was another 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm just like, man, these guys, like, they don't have to do this.
Yeah,
Their contract's probably 90 minutes or
They already
whatever.
got their money. They didn't have to do all that.
So, but that resonated with me. It's
Yeah.
like they didn't have to do that. They stayed and hung out and played more songs.
And you respected them more, and you loved them and
Yeah.
more for that. You know?
It builds whatever that is. I mean, it builds that kind of respect you want as an artist.
Yeah.
You know, they know you're putting in the work. But it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Some people have a lot of talent, don't put in the work.
Yeah.
Or a lot of people put in, you know, but bands like Pearl Jam and Metallica have both.
Yeah.
And it resonates. I mean, Pearl Jam hadn't put out a great album in a long time, but they're still doing great.
Yeah. I mean,
because they're live shows.
Yeah, I mean, as long as they want to continue to play live, they're going to play live, and they're going to sell out. You know, I mean, everyone's going to show up, and they're going to sell all their tickets, and I mean, they're just because they're known as a live band. You know, you want to see a good live show, you go see them because they're going to put on a good live show, and they're going to play for a long time and give you your money's worth. You know.
Yeah.
So, you know. But yeah, I mean, it's just always, and I'm having a hard time transitioning into the new way of thinking because I've just always been like, if you can play for a long time, then you're the man. I mean, you're the man if you can get up there and play for 3 hours, because not many people can, especially, you know, I mean, be a musician for a while and see how hard it is to get up there and just play for an hour. Yeah. You know, just physically be able to just play song after song after song and just maybe take a break every now and then just to kind of talk to the fans or get a drink of water and then keep playing. I mean, for even just an hour, it's pretty hard, but I mean, 3 hours?
That's a long time.
You know, I mean, it's a long time, you know.
It's a really long time.
You know, people give Taylor Swift a lot of crap and whatever, you know, and, you know, the Swifties and, you know, she's too rich and she, you know, whatever, but she puts on 3-hour shows every single night.
Does she?
You know, yeah. I mean, she puts on one of my coworkers is, you know, this younger girl, and she's, you know, loves Taylor Swift, and she goes and says, and yeah, I mean, she puts on a 3-hour show every single night, you know, and
well, that's impressive.
You know,
I'll take my hat off to that.
Costume changes and just, I mean, all this stuff. So, I mean, she's working. She's putting in, you know, 3 hours worth of hard work every single night, and yeah, she's rich as hell and whatever. She's a billionaire and whatever, but she's working for it.
If
you know,
you're working for it and you've got the talent. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of her music from what I've heard, but like she does definitely puts in the work.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and anybody that puts in the work, it's like you gotta respect them. You know, I mean, like
you're
getting up there and performing for 3 hours every single night. You know,
I agree.
Mean, like, yeah.
My only gripe about her is when I'm trying to watch a football game, I don't care if she's in the audience. You know, it's like, bro, I don't give a shit. I don't care if fucking Chris Cornell's there. Like, I'm trying to watch this game.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Just don't show me stands.
I don't care.
Other than that, I don't have any beef with Taylor Swift. But you know, she's obviously talented. I mean, she started off, you know, writing her own songs and doing her thing. She's had, you know, I'm not one of those people that hates people for success.
Yeah, me neither.
Like, I wouldn't want to trade places with her either.
Yeah.
You know,
me neither.
Like, God, and that's again, you know, she's one of the most hated people in the country right now because of the Chiefs.
Yeah.
You know, we're so weird. We root for the underdogs. We want them to win, right? We rooted for Tom Brady when he won his first Super Bowl. We rooted for the Chiefs. But then enough winning, we start getting jealous.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we wanted you to get to the top, but now that you're at the top, we want you to step aside.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Exactly. Like now we've had enough of you.
We're so immature as a species.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Totally.
I don't know, man. How are you optimistic about the future with all the technology? We got AI.
No.
Does that freak you out? Or are you excited about the possibilities, or both?
I don't know. I just think I don't know. I think overall, it's just turning us into worse human beings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really do. I mean, people have no attention span now.
Nope.
People want instant gratification. They don't want to wait for anything. They have no patience, you know, and so I don't know. It's just like, it's really, every technology and everything is really helpful, but it's a double-edged sword, you know, because it's like really good, but then again, it you know, makes people, like I said, nobody has patience anymore. A lot of young kids don't know how to interact with other human beings, like especially in person, because they don't do it. They only interact with people on the internet and on social media, so they don't know how to interact with people in person, and so they get around people and, you know, they're like just freeze up and they don't know what to do and they don't know what to say and they don't know how to interact, and it's like, man, the art of the conversation is gone because people don't know how to have a conversation unless it's, you know.
Amen.
Yeah,
I'll speak to that. You're right, and it's really sad. I remember watching my grandparents have people over, and they wouldn't play board games. They wouldn't be doing. They would just talk. Yeah. They'd sit around with some beers and some cigarettes or cigars or pipes, and there'd be a panel of them, and they'd just be telling stories and having fun.
Yeah.
And that looked, it was, I was a little kid. We were playing video games or something in another room, but I just noticed that about my grandparents' generation, where they would just sit around and talk.
Yeah, they would just actually just
Right.
talk. Yeah.
Whereas like my parents' generation had to have some kind of function, it had to be a board game or something, like
yeah.
something to bring people together. And then the get-together just got lost altogether. Like people don't even get together anymore.
It's a lost art.
It is.
Yeah.
And I've really enjoyed doing the podcast. It's just being able to sit down, because even in a group setting, like you just get these bite-sized conversations.
Yeah.
And if it's like a work function, it's bullshit anyway. Or like you're just, small talk stuff. But if you get a bunch of good friends together, you just get these little clips. You don't get to spend time with enough people here and there. But being able to sit down with somebody for a couple hours.
Yeah.
And just
talk.
Just talking.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. It's so underrated, and it's free.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's free, yeah.
You don't need a gaming system or a fucking 65-inch TV. You just sit down and talk with people.
Yeah, exactly. And also a lot of people that, even the people that will just sit down and just talk, and just like have a conversation and whatever. I mean, it's fun and stuff, but also anymore, nobody's ever like, so man, how you doing? I mean, like, how you really doing?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, are you good? I mean, you in a good place mentally? Are you, I mean, nobody. It seems like a lot of times everything's so superficial, and it's like, I want to hear about what you're doing, and I want to hear about your work, and I want to know like what how your golf game is and whatever. But they don't really want to know like, how are you doing, like like how are you mentally? How are you good? Are you in a good spot, or are you struggling? And if you're struggling, I want you to know I'm here for you, and if you need someone to talk to, I'm down. I'm good. Like people don't do that enough anymore either.
Yeah,
and,
well, and mental health is a hugely untapped topic of conversation.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, it is. It's been taboo for a long time.
It's always been taboo until very recently.
Just recently.
And it's way more serious than anybody realizes. But do you think mental illness is just way more frequent than it used to be, or it's just the taboos come off?
Yeah, I think.
Do you think it's always been there, or do you think it's gotten worse?
Oh yeah, I think it's always been there, and people are the taboo is gone, and I think people are finally feeling, brave enough or free enough to like talk about it, out loud, and so we're realizing a lot of people are messed up.
Yeah,
a lot of people are messed up. And
I
have
definitely
issues.
think the taboo has shifted, and that's uncovered a lot of it. Because you look at the statistics, like in 1920 there were so many people that were homosexuals, and now today it's this, and it's like, well, that doesn't necessarily mean there were only that many. It was very taboo to talk about back then.
Yeah. No one wanted to come out. Yeah.
I do think that whole thing's gotten kind of trendy, so it's kind of been inflated as well.
Yeah,
but back then you didn't fucking admit to that. So you're gonna have zero for a long time, and then the taboo comes off, and then it's a different thing. And I also feel like some mental health has kind of become trendy too to talk about, which is sad, because it really is. I'm sure you've lost people. I've lost people to suicide. It's a helpless feeling. Like, what could I have done? And sometimes you don't know the extent, because there is. Well, you say the taboo's getting better, and I agree, but I think that's to a younger generation. I still think older people have a hard time talking about that stuff.
Yeah, they do. But even the older people are getting more comfortable.
They are 100%.
They're way more comfortable than I ever thought they would be.
Yeah.
But it's great. It's like, young people and kids, and teenagers and stuff. I mean, they're getting to where they're just okay with. They accept that it's okay to tell people if you're hurting or if you're sad or if you're, it's okay to tell people that. It's not. It doesn't make you a weak person. It doesn't make you a wuss. It doesn't make you whatever to tell someone. Man, I'm struggling. I need some help. I need to talk to someone.
Well, and that is one of the downsides of that. Or like toxic male mentality, where you don't fucking cry, son. Pick yourself up, and sometimes that's a good mentality to have. If you're just, I mean, there are people who just are lazy and weak, and sometimes you need to prod those people along. But when it comes to like the mental health thing, there was no tolerance for any kind of that. It was just, pick yourself up and move on. And don't deal with your feelings. Just bury them. Just bury them and just keep moving. Go forward. But
it's like, no, at some point you got to deal with things, or it like rears its ugly head later. You know, like you got to deal with some stuff, you know, and you know, nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to deal with their painful things, their issues, and their, you know, like nobody wants to deal with that, but you got to if you want it to get better. You know, it's not going to just go away. You got to like confront it and deal with it, you know, and try to find a way to cope with it or deal with it or confront it or whatever, you know, like. You know.
Well, I think part of the taboo for me is I don't like talking about my problems to other people because I know they got problems just as bad or worse than mine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like I don't want to throw this on somebody when I know that they have an equal amount. Because everybody's got their own shit.
Because everybody has problems. Everybody has things.
Right.
You know?
But people handle it differently.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm glad that it's getting to where it's not like parents aren't like, you know, boys don't cry and boys don't talk about their feelings. That's not right. You know, like it's not like that as much anymore. And I think that's great because people got to be able to know that it's okay to feel your feelings, you know? I mean,
well, and
it
just
doesn't
to
make
talk
you a
it
wuss.
through.
Yeah.
Sometimes just being able to convey something to another human being and hear their thoughts on it or get another perspective can help a ton.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it helps you process.
To know that you're not alone.
Yeah, to know you're not alone and to help you can help have someone's opinion and help process your emotions, you know? And like, you know how to deal with your emotions because you're like, oh, well, this guy goes through it too and he deals with it like this.
Yeah.
So I never thought of that. I could do that and that might help, you know? Like, I mean, just talking things, just, you know? And like I tell all my friends, I'm like, man, I'm here anytime. If you need just to talk and tell me your problems, or if you need to scream and yell because you're mad and angry at the world, I'll sit and you can scream and yell at me and I'll just take it and let you, you know, get it out of your system. Or if you need a shoulder to cry on, come cry on my shoulder. I'll hug you through it, man.
Nice.
You know, like I'm there, you know, like I'm there. I mean, my favorite uncle committed suicide. Yeah. And when I was young, and he was gay and he didn't know how to deal with it, and I think he was ashamed, and he had a partner and his partner broke up with him and he just didn't know what to do. You know,
what an awful place to be in.
I mean, and
to feel like you can't be who you want to be.
Yeah, be who you want to be.
Talk about it.
And talk about it.
That's awful, man.
And you just lost the love of your life, and you can't even tell anyone about it. Yeah. And so he killed himself, and it was like, it devastated me. And he was like my uncle that got me into, I mean, everything that made me who I am. He got me into, you know, skateboarding, sci-fi movies, comic books, underground music.
That was my grandma to me. Yeah,
I mean,
I know what you're talking about.
I mean, because before him, I wasn't into sci-fi. I wasn't into Star Wars. I wasn't into Star Trek. I wasn't into sci-fi. I wasn't into comic books. I wasn't into skateboarding. I wasn't into punk rock. I mean, there's all this stuff that I wasn't into until
that he introduced you to.
He introduced me to it, and so like a lot of who I am is because of him, and you know, and I always just wish I could have been there for him or somewhere, you know, talk to him or something. So so I've always been like, man, if anybody needs to talk or you need to. Like I said, even just like sometimes people will be like, man, Jay, I would love to have you come over and just talk to me, but I just need to scream. I'm mad as hell and I need to scream. I'm like, I'll sit and scream at me, man. Scream. I'll take it. I'll just listen to it. I'm mad too. Yeah. So scream. Let me have it. You know, get it out of your system. I guarantee you'll feel better, you know? And, you know, I mean, just whatever. We gotta be there for each other, you know?
I agree.
It takes a village, you know, like, you know, to get through this life, you know, like, you know, everybody's got to help each other, you know, stuff. But that's a lot of what I like metal, you know, I love heavy metal because people that don't listen to metal, they'll say like, well, man, I don't see how you listen to that, because when I listen to that, it just makes me so angry, and I'm like, it gets my anger out.
It's the opposite for me.
It purges. It gets
I
my
will
anger
listen to it
out.
when I'm angry,
and it gets it out, man. My anger and my hate and my whatever
Vulgar
that I
Display
have,
of Power is my go-to.
Mm-hmm.
I put that album in, dude, and I'm by the end of it. I'm like calm as a lamb.
I'm saying. It just it purges all that bad, that anger and that hate and that, you know, whatever. It gets it out of your system by listening to it.
Yeah.
You know, and when you're done listening to the album, you're like, man, I feel so much better now. Like now I can just have a beer and relax and watch a movie. You
exactly.
know, like, you know.
No, I agree with you. The metal for me it's a release. You're listening to something that absorbs. It's like throwing, you know, like sawdust on gasoline, where it soaks it up, like soaks the anger into it.
And
then I'm totally fine.
And that helps you get it out. So I mean, that's always been a big thing for me, like, and especially, the metal that screams a lot, Pantera, and just like, anything that, screams like you can just scream along with it while you're singing, and and by the end of a few songs or the album or whatever, you're like, oh man.
Well, there's entire therapies that are based on primal scream therapy, which is just
exactly
screaming.
where you're just screaming.
I also think, now I agree with you that the taboo is coming away from mental health, but I do think the frequency is, another.
Yes.
I do think it's more prevalent now, and I think part of it is social media, and I think part of it is the kind of, growing up in the 50s, 60s, 70s, you had smaller communities, you had churches, nuclear families, families were closer. Now that's not as much the case.
Yeah.
And I don't think people are cultivating real relationships as much as they used to be.
Yeah.
Like real friendship with people who care about you.
Yeah.
It's more superficial now. And I feel like when people do get into a crisis of mental health or something, and they're looking through their friends and realizing, I don't have anyone that's really, truly close.
Yeah.
And that's
truly
a really
to
sad
me.
thing.
Yeah. And that's what I was saying, we gotta do that more. We gotta be there for each other, and we gotta make sure you have at least a few people that you can
Yes.
Like everybody needs at least a few people that you can man, I just need to go get some stuff out, man, and I can just go and sit down to my buddy and just get it out, and they'll listen to me, and they're not gonna give me any grief, and they're not gonna look down their nose at me because I'm having a moment of weakness where I'm needing to talk about my feelings and get some stuff out, everybody needs a few friends like that.
Yeah.
And that's why I tell all my friends, I'm like, I'm there, man. I'm there for you. I'm down. I'm always there for you. And if you need to talk, and I've had friends here recently that have just been like, man, can you just come over? Can we just talk? I need to get some stuff out, man. I'm like, yeah, I'm there.
Which is a very different thing, because there are people who are just negative all the time and just bitch.
Yeah.
Just constant. That's a very different thing.
Yeah.
Because that's really obnoxious, and nobody wants to hear you're just bitching about everything about life you can't control. But, what we're talking about here is people who are serious, really struggling with stuff that they don't feel comfortable talking about.
And I mean, you got to be able to have at least somebody you can just get it out.
Somebody that's not. A lot of people don't want to share that kind of stuff with their parents or their relatives. They want to, a close friend or or whatever that can be. So I think it's. I don't know that it's going to get any better anytime soon, though.
Yeah.
I don't know how you get out of it.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, a lot of it. I mean, a lot of people need to be on medication for a lot of stuff.
Sure.
because a lot of the mental illness is
chemical imbalances. 100%.
Yeah, I mean, my brother was bipolar. I mean, and he was bipolar, and he was manic depressive, because both of those manic depression ran in my dad's side, and bipolar ran on my mom's side.
It's on my dad's side too.
So he had both, and. So, for the longest time, they didn't know what was going on with him. They just thought he was just being a when he would freak out, and have his episodes or whatever, where he would freak out and be destructive. They just thought he was just being a spoiled brat, that just, was just being an asshole or whatever. But then come to find out, he's bipolar, and he can't control his mood swings at all. He has no control over them whatsoever. So when he freaks out, he told me, he was like...
They hit a mental threshold and then just kind of snap.
And then just snap,
episodes,
and he didn't know how to deal with his emotions sometimes, so he would just snap and do the worst things that you could do, because he just didn't know how to deal with his emotions at the time. But when he finally got on medications, because he had a chemical imbalance in his head, and so that's why he couldn't control his emotions or whatever. He finally got on medicine for that, and it controlled the chemical imbalance in his brain. And then he was fine. As long as he was on his medicine, he was fine. Now when he would get off of it, and he told me one time, he said, "Man, when I freak out like that, and I, destroy my, my apartment or my house or whatever, or whenever I, hit my wife or what," he's like, "I just black out. I just go somewhere else, and I just do these bad things, and then when I come to, I realize." Oh wow! I just destroyed my house.
Yeah.
I just freaked out and just obliterated my house and destroyed my TV and I don't even remember doing it. At all.
I'm gonna take a quick peek, because I want to talk about this. You gotta get out of here at any time, or
Not
if we
really.
need to wrap up, we can. It's gonna go another 15, 20 if you're cool.
No, just whenever you need to go.
No, I'm good. I'm just gonna pee real quick.
Actually, you got a bathroom there?
Yep, right there. Over here, Jay. Right here. Next door.
Ah.
Right there, behind the Enterprise.
There we go.
Oh crap! That made it worse. Let me stand up. You got it. There you go.
Yeah.
There. We're talking about the mental health stuff, and I wonder how thorough these, like, you know, when they start putting people on medication, a lot of these medications can actually make things worse.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so in order to get a really solid diagnosis, you really got to go, I mean, you got to really admit to a lot of this stuff, you know, and go see the right people. Because I get concerned about a lot of, I think especially in this generation with younger people, you know, I think people, I don't know, I'm trying to say this in a nice way. I think people want to be happy all the time, which is unrealistic.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I want to be I'm not happy, and so there's a problem.
Yeah.
When the reason happiness and excitement exists is to elevate you, right?
Yeah.
Normal is like, most people are not just euphoric all the time.
All the time.
Yeah. You know, and I think a lot of people want to be that way.
Yeah.
I would love to be that way.
Yeah, I mean, well, and like I'm afraid, like you said, I'm afraid a lot of kids, a lot of younger people would think like, well, if I'm not happy all the time, if I'm not euphoric happy all the time, then something must be wrong. So I need to go get on some medication.
Yeah,
you know. So let me go get on some medication just because I'm not always perfect, you know. And it's like, yeah, but you don't really need to be on medication because nobody's. You know,
exactly.
No one's
yeah.
euphoric, happy, like elated every minute of every day. That's not life. That's not the way.
No, it's not realistic. It's I don't know. It like we've talked about, losing people to suicide is one of those things that it makes you feel so helpless. And, and I hope we continue in a direction of that taboo being lifted, where people can talk about it, especially to somebody you trust.
Yeah.
And you know, you cultivate those relationships, and but yeah, I think, I don't know, we've come so far, yet we've gone backwards in a lot of ways. The technology stuff worries me a little bit because, I mean, if you're into sci-fi, I mean, you've seen it all.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Terminator, Dune, all the machines take us over, people. Spoiler alert.
Yeah,
that's where this goes.
The machines win.
The machines win for a time, anyway, or maybe forever. But like the Optimus robot that Elon's rolling out, like a house helper, a humanoid robot. You put an AI brain in that thing, and then like you've got these all over the planet. It's an army.
Yeah,
it's so much power for someone to have. It's like.
Yeah, it's like Transformers.
It's wild. It's like, I feel like we're on the cusp of, you know, like the people that were leading into like the Industrial Revolution and stuff. We're like at the cusp of this AI revolution.
Yeah,
and I think that shit's gonna get nuts.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And you know, on one hand, you got to be careful because you don't want to let it take over, and then all of a sudden we have no control, and then the robots, you know, are in control of everything or whatever. But you know, then again, you got to look at like when people first started flying. I mean, there were people that like down home good, you know, Christian people that were like. You can't fly. Flying is like, it's like sorcery. It's like
it's
of the
unnatural.
devil. It's unnatural. People aren't meant to fly. God didn't. If God would have meant you to fly, He would have given you wings, and so you would be an angel, or you would at least have wings and you could fly.
Yeah.
But we're not supposed to fly. So why are you getting on a plane and flying? That's sorcery, and it's of the devil.
Yeah.
You know. But now people fly without even giving it a thought. You know. I mean, we just get on a plane and fly somewhere, and you know. So it's like that. It's like you want to be careful, but then again, it's like. You know, you don't want to be that person that's like, oh, but computers are bad, they're evil, they're, you know, like, you know.
No, I'm with you 100%.
You know?
I think a healthy amount of fear of anything is good.
Yeah.
A cautious approach to a thing, because what's really weird is the kind of jobs it's taking over, not what I would expect. Like, you'd think it would take over like blue collar stuff and automation, but like the writer's strike in Hollywood was largely based on like trying to prevent AI from writing scripts. They're talking about replacing teachers with AI now. I mean, it's some weird jobs you wouldn't expect. And how does your economy survive that? And then how do you take care of these people whose jobs it displaces, right?
Yeah, and
if AI puts half the country out of business,
then what do people do for money and how they support themselves and pay their mortgage and feed their kids?
And is there a responsibility to these people putting everyone out of business to take care of the people you're putting. Like,
Yeah.
it's a tricky thing, and I feel like we're getting right up there to the doorstep.
Yeah. I mean, it's like we're right there, and like it could either be really good and we can do the right thing and it can be awesome, like flying and like, whatever, trains and, back the way they used to look at it back then, or it could go horribly wrong. I mean, I saw just yesterday, I saw footage of a forklift driving around, and it's computerized forklift that's driving around getting stuff at a warehouse.
Autonomously?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And there was no one driving it, and it's like, okay, well, there's at least one forklift driver that's lost his job because of that. At least one.
You talk about these self-driving cars. You're putting Uber, taxis, like all that stuff.
All that's out of I mean,
you think about the carriage drivers and the people scooping up horse shit that the automobile industry displaced, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We're
there. It's like it could go either way. I mean, I hope we do the right thing, but yeah, I mean,
because we've lived pretty comfortable existences, you and I.
Yeah.
73,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, since the 70s, we've had it pretty good in America.
Yeah.
And boy, you hope it stays that way, but at the same time, you kind of feel like, I don't know, waiting for the shoe to drop or something. Like, it's been good for so long.
Yeah.
They say, like, what is it? I can't remember the term for it, but like every 80 years there's some kind of major upheaval.
Yeah.
And like we're due for some shit to go down.
Yeah, we are pretty much. I mean, it's been, well, how long has it been since World War II?
It's been on 80 almost years. Yeah, something right in there. So you're a sci-fi fan?
Yeah.
So what are your favorite kind of properties in sci-fi?
I mean, I'm still old school. Like, I'm still like all the Star Wars.
Same.
Yeah, all the Star
Trek,
Wars.
you a Trek guy?
Yes, yeah, Trek.
Next
of course,
Generation or the TOS?
Yeah, the original. Yeah. I'm old school, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but then Star Wars, and like even like all the new Star Wars stuff, Mandalorian. I mean, all that, all the good stuff that's coming with that. Yeah, I mean, I'm into, but I haven't had a lot of time to really do a lot of sci-fi stuff lately. Like, so, but yeah, I've always been a sci-fi fan. Yeah, I mean, it's how old I saw the New Hope and Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi in the theaters. As a kid. Yeah, I mean, like,
for sure. And you'd have been a good age to see him too, because you'd been like, I guess you'd been a little young when the first one came out, but like
I was really young.
You'd have been right the perfect age to see Return of the Jedi in '83, like 6, 7.
Yeah, so I was like, you'd
have been like 10 because that came out in '83. That'd been cool.
Yeah, I mean, I was the perfect age to see, especially Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. You know, I mean.
Yeah, I my first experience with those was obviously VHS because I'm born in '81, but I remember going to see like Jurassic Park was a real game changer in the theaters because the level of animatronics and digital hadn't really been used much before.
They were still figuring it out.
Yeah, and then to go forward to like. I mean, you just look at CG graphics or like the visuals in like '90s television. You go back and you're like, man, that's right. I can't believe they went with that.
Yeah.
And then Lord of the Rings comes out, and you're like, holy shit.
Yeah. Wow.
That looks real.
Yeah. Like that actually looks like it could really. Yeah.
It's crazy, and I'm seeing all kinds of AI videos now with different political people or sports figures talking to each other or singing. And, like, it's not perfect yet.
Yeah.
But imagine in 4 years an election and you release a sex scandal tape of somebody. Yeah. Totally fabricated. Yeah. But it looks real. And a lot of people will believe it. And exactly. Just whether or not it's true, the headline's going to capture half the audience, whether it's true or not. Yeah. And you're not going to dig anything beyond that.
And you won't be able to tell them any different because, I mean, it looks so real. They're going to be like, it's real. Look at it. I mean...
How do you get to the bottom of that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Like
it's scary. It's like the stuff that we'll be able to do. Like I'm gonna make a scandalous tape of you cheating on your wife, and I'm gonna blackmail you with it. And then like, what are you gonna? I mean, you're either gonna like beat my ass or pay me to to not release it to your wife, or just tell your wife, hey, look, this guy's gonna show you some shit, and just don't believe it, even though it looks real. Don't you know?
Yeah.
I mean.
Even though she looks just like your sister, it's not really happening.
It's not really her, I promise. It was all made up.
Yeah, it's all fake, honey.
Yeah, but I mean...
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah.
And they're programming like, say, give me a new Jay-Z song, and it can do it.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it can,
yeah, boom.
like take the. I don't know how the algorithm works, but
Yeah.
I mean it's nuts. It can create images. I'm sure you've seen all the image work that they're doing. I mean, I can create an album cover in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Or a logo.
Yeah.
You know, like graphic designers.
Yeah.
The people who do that kind of shit.
Yeah.
Like,
Another.
how
thing.
does that work?
Yep. And the bass player of Liquid Courage does that for a living.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember when AI first started really, kind of taking off and like it's starting to look really good. He kind of got excited about it, and he was like, oh man, he was like, look at this. He like created a couple of Liquid Courage album covers, that he sent to us. Was like, look at this. What do you guys think of this? And it looks really cool. But I mean, he literally did it, and like he just said, like he just told AI, like a Liquid Courage album cover. Beer bottles or something, and it just like created this image, and it looked super, super badass. And he sent it to us, and I was like, dude, that looks really good. And he was like, yeah, well, I mean, it's all AI. I didn't do a single thing to that, so that was just all. And I was like, wow, but.
Well, graphic designers can help input prompt and make it look, you can still kind of make it, use some of those elements of knowledge and whatnot. But, I mean, just thinking of some kid that can't afford a graphic designer or something like that, or can't draw, and just to be able to go in and do that kind of stuff.
Boom, I mean, I guess that's good for them, to
We're getting so much power in our own hands though, as individuals.
Yeah.
Like I can record an album, do all the artwork, everything in this building for next to no money.
Yeah.
As opposed to millions of dollars it would have taken, 20 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
It's a really cool thing. And I wonder how many kids, I don't know, I only have my limited experience, but like I wonder how many kids are still playing rock music. Like do you like, how do you
still doing like,
I know there's schools of rock and stuff like that, but I wonder like how many kids are still playing, because I talked about the death of the rock star earlier. That was kind of what Jimmy Page was like, my God, right? I wanted to be Jimmy Page. And like without the rock star to look up to, like, are as many people getting into music, I wonder?
Yeah,
it's
I mean, and what's weird is like a lot of the kids are they're still getting into music, but since they're doing it through the internet, I mean, they're like where we would like, we would start listening to Led Zeppelin and fixate on Led Zeppelin and pretty much just worship them and follow them and pretty much primarily just
dig it
them,
out, absorb it.
Yeah, I mean, like, with them, it's like they'll go on the internet and they'll find 50 bands that are just amazing, just that blows their minds and changes their whole outlook on music. But instead of it being like Led Zeppelin and The Who, it's like these 50 bands that are all phenomenal, and right now there's a thing going on in metal drumming where everybody's doing the 30-second notes on the bass drums and doing the blast beats, at 350 beats per minute. And so I mean, and that's all cool and stuff, but I mean, it's getting to where like it's not even human. They're doing things that aren't even human to be doing, and they're doing it, but everybody's learning to do it. Yeah. And so now everybody,
level playing field.
Yeah. So now everybody can play blast beats at 350 beats per minute, doing 30-second notes on the kick drum. So,
but nobody can write a song anymore.
Yeah. But then once again, it goes back to style. Okay, so everybody can do 30 seconds, and everybody can do blast beats at 300 beats per minute, but where's the style in that? Where's your personality coming through in that? It's not at all. Like I want some personality. I want to see your personality and your style come out in your music, and it's not at 300 beats per minute going blast beats with 30 seconds on the kick. I mean, you all sound exactly the same, doing the same thing. And it's great that you can do it. It's like mind-boggling that I mean, there's a kid now, he's 5 years old, I can't remember his name, that's playing drums. He can play Slipknot, he can play
At 5?
I mean, yeah, he's 5 years
That's
old,
insane.
and he
Your
can
brain's
play.
not very developed.
Insanity, man. I mean, he can do 30-second notes on the kick
10
drums.
I could believe. 5 is crazy.
It's insanity. I mean, and I'm just like, how can he be that good so young? But it's because he just listens to that stuff all the time and just plays it like constantly all day every day, and he's really good. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of style in what he's doing once again, but he's regurgitating what he's hearing, and
Right.
he's playing Slipknot, Joey Jordison or whatever, like Slipknot stuff that's impossible to play, and he's doing it at 5 years old. Which is just mind-boggling
crazy.
that he can do that. It's so. I mean, how is he even reaching the pedals? You don't know. I mean, how can he
You got,
reach
like,
the pedals? I mean, but
Platform shoes on.
yeah,
or
but
something?
it's like, but he's doing it, and there's not a lot, like I said, not a lot of style to what he's doing.
Yeah.
It just sounds exactly like all the other drummers that can do that, but
Yeah, but still learning those fundamentals.
at that age,
Well, I'm old school in the sense that I don't like listening to songs. I like listening to albums. I
Yeah.
grew up listening to albums because I had my dad's vinyl player and his vinyls, and that's kind of what you did. And I just carried that habit into cassettes and CDs. I don't like skipping tracks. It's an experience for me.
Yep.
It's a 45-minute or whatever, 30-minute, however long that album is. It's that journey. Because every song has a verse, a chorus, a bridge. Not every song, but you kind of have these certain parts of the songs. If you zoom out at an album and you arrange it in the right way, you have a journey. Just like Zeppelin's a great example of that. And I hate. That's one thing I don't like to use the word hate, but I that's one thing about today's music where it's just so transactional.
Yeah.
I just want this one song from this band, and you don't experience the whole album.
Exactly. Yeah. No. I know. I'm the exact same way. I still do that. Even streaming and digital. Like I wanna consume the entire album
Same.
from beginning to
Yeah.
end. And like I'll be at work. And I'll be out in the yard with the dogs, watching the dogs, and I'll be with somebody else, like someone that's under 24, 22, whatever, and we'll be listening to my Bluetooth speaker, listening to my music, whatever, and I'll put on an album, and we'll listen to the entire album while we're outside watching the dogs, playing with the dogs, and like these young kids will go, so you're gonna play like all the songs from just that one band? And I'm like, well, yeah, I'm playing the album. And they're like, why? And I'm like, well, because it's a really good album. If you listen to it beginning and end, that kind of tells a story and you go on a journey and whatever. And they're like, but you can just like play just random tracks. You don't have to listen to it all the way through.
I know.
They act like I don't even know that.
Right. You didn't know that was possible,
Yeah,
you old man.
you can like listen to a couple tracks from this album and a couple tracks from that album and a couple tracks, or even a couple tracks from this artist and then a couple tracks from that artist and then a couple. And I'm like, well, I know I could do that, but I don't want to do that. I want to listen to this album from beginning to end because it's awesome, and that's what I'm doing because that's what I want to do. And they're like, oh. Okay, well, I was just wondering why you were doing that, and I'm like, because it's called listening to an album.
Yeah, we do like some of my in-laws live in Mountain Home, so you got a 2.5 hour drive there back, so you're in the car for a 5-hour trip. So we'll do playlists, right? And so I'm like, y'all do 15 rounds because my one pick is going to be 15 songs or 12 songs. Like I'm just going to pick an entire album.
Yeah, and that's going to be my pick.
Right, that's going to be my
album.
pick for those 12 because I don't know. Even if I'm in a Soundgarden mood, I don't just put on a Soundgarden playlist. I'm like, I want to listen to Bad Motorfinger.
Yeah.
From start to finish.
Yeah.
And I'm
gonna listen to Super Unknown from again. Yeah.
And I get it. I get if you didn't grow up with that, and it's you just play the songs. But there's something about listening to that album, that first note and hearing that last note end. Where it's like watching a movie for me.
Yeah, no, totally. Or reading a book,
or anything.
It's like
you wouldn't just read random chapters of books, or random scenes from movies. But music is a weird thing where
people do.
Yeah,
they do that. And it's
because
like,
every song has its own little theme.
It's a perfect
and story.
example too. Is it's like you wouldn't get a book and be like, I'm going to read chapter 1, then I'm going to read chapter 9, then I'm going to read chapter 12, and then I'm going to do
and then go to book 2,
and then I'll read chapter 5. No, you read it from
yeah.
They just don't, and a lot of these young kids, they're just like, wow, why would you listen to the whole album though when you don't have to?
I even remember I'm a very particular person too, but even the songs that I don't really like, I'll just play them through.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of like a thing I have to do, like a compulsive thing.
Yeah, or especially if you're just listening to it, like while you're doing other things too. It's like, okay, well, that's not my favorite track on that album, but I'm doing this, so I'll just, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can just let it play until the next song comes on, and
Yeah, and I feel like bands back then like Zeppelin didn't even put out singles. You know, they just made records.
Yeah.
And they arranged it in a way that was so cool. I feel like now it's just a collection of songs, and that's part of change. I mean, the only consistent thing in life is change.
Yeah.
And how well can you navigate it?
Yeah. I mean, so I saw so a friend of mine, like he recorded out in L.A. and he recorded at a studio that Led Zeppelin recorded, and the guy that was at the studio, that owned the studio, showed them a receipt of Led Zeppelin recording their album there, and it was the receipt from their bill from when they recorded Led Zeppelin 3, and their bill for recording Led Zeppelin 3 was $316. That's how much it cost for them to record Led Zeppelin 3. Was it cost them in total, in tape, for the reel-to-reel tape and for the
Get out of here.
Yeah, $316 they recorded Led Zeppelin 3. I mean,
That's nuts.
and now
That's
you couldn't
true.
even like a band can't even record one song for $300,
Right.
and
Right.
they recorded the whole album Led Zeppelin 3.
Did you ever do any recording at Listen Lab with Dwight?
Yeah.
I really missed him. He captured our sound so wonderfully.
Yeah. He has such a good ear, dude.
Oh.
I mean, such a good ear.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of who. Let me think. Android 19.
Yeah, it would have been probably.
Yeah. Android 19 recorded with Dwight. Yeah.
I wanted to think you guys had too, but yeah, he was just so awesome. He got what we were trying to accomplish, and it makes it so much easier if they get it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. If
You
they
know.
already kind of know what you're going for while
Mhm.
you're going for it.
Yeah, and I'm not musically trained, so I don't know how to read music. I don't know the terminology, so I'm speaking this like Neanderthal language to Dwight, and he's like, "Yeah, I get what you're
I know
saying.
what you're saying.
I can get it." He could translate through all that stuff. Yeah, man.
And what was cool about it is that he knew what you were going for, and the way you wanted to sound, and what you were trying to achieve, and it didn't matter what genre of music you were doing. Like, I mean, if you were like, it was, some like engineers or producers or whatever will be really
Fixate
good
on
at
what
metal,
they
or
like.
they're really good at
Yeah,
punk, or they're really
exactly.
good at pop or whatever. It didn't matter what kind of music you were playing. Dwight knew what you wanted and how you wanted to sound and what you wanted the album to sound like. And
well, he had
did
like
that.
he recorded folk bands, death metal band, like he was all over the place.
Yeah. I mean, I think he might have recorded Vor or something. Like, I mean, back then, and he did Android 19 and you guys, and
Well, we were literally in the middle of our third Durham album, like middle of recording it. I think we were gonna do it in 5-song chunks. So we went in with 5. We got the drums, bass, guitar track for 5 songs, and he got a job with the Discovery Channel doing audio stuff. He's like, I gotta get. I was like, I get it.
Yeah, I mean,
And then we ended up taking the other 5 to Dan Robinson. This is the last actual studio recording we did, and then we finished out the rest of it at my uncle's studio. But you just can't appreciate somebody like that enough.
yeah.
That gets it, that knows you. It's
Yeah.
a comfortable relationship,
Yeah.
and you don't have to say anything. They know what sound you're going for. That was a
Yeah.
real traumatic loss for me losing him, but great dude. Loved working with him.
Dwight, yeah. He's a good guy.
One of the most chill guys I've ever met.
Yeah.
too.
I mean, right?
Yeah.
Did he
Just
ever get aggravated or pissed off?
not rattled at all. You couldn't rattle the guy.
Yeah, no, not at all. He was just so, and he didn't. I love him. No offense, Dwight, but I love him. But he just kind of looked kind of nerdy and kind of like he
Yeah.
just didn't look like he would be like the rocker, fucking,
No.
didn't look like that at all. But knew his shit and knew how to make you sound good and knew what you wanted and just did it, and you sounded great.
Yeah.
You were done listening, done recording, and he would mix it and give it to you, and you're like, yes, exactly. That's exactly how we wanted to sound. He's
Yes.
like, yeah, I know.
Yeah, he got it. He had it's very, it's a different skill set, like mixing, mastering, that kind of ear than it is of being a musician. And
Yeah, totally.
some people have both. I don't. I don't have the ear like with the frequencies and everything. Like I can hear the song in my head, but I don't know how to get it to sound like
how
that.
to make it. Yeah.
It's just a
Me
valuable skill.
neither. Me neither. I always go. I blame it on being a drummer. I'm like, I'm
Oh yeah.
I'm a drummer. I don't understand that stuff. I just hit things hard.
That's actually a really good excuse for anything in life. I'm a drummer.
I'm a drummer. He's like, well, you know what they say about how drummers can get away with parking in the handicap spots, right? You just put your sticks on the dashboard.
That's hilarious.
And then they know you're handicapped.
Exactly.
Which maybe that's not a very PC joke anymore.
Bring comedy back. Did you ever record at Crisp Studios?
No, with Darren?
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
We did. Sober did our last recording there. We did a few songs with him, and honestly, he was a lot more expensive than Dwight, and we were high school kids at the time. But I've been talking to him. I think he's going to come on the podcast soon.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, and I'd love to work with him on something else.
Awesome, dude.
Huh?
It said Darren's awesome.
Oh yeah, he's great. He's great. I haven't seen him in a long time. I'm looking forward to reconnecting with him, and I'd like to get in and do a couple of songs out there and maybe get some footage of it. I wish, growing up, you just don't think of capturing things as much as you do as an adult.
Yeah.
I wish I'd have filmed some of those recording sessions or done.
I know,
you know what I
right?
mean?
Don't you? Yeah. But a lot of times back then, just having like a video recorder was expensive.
Absolutely,
It was so
cost was
so
a
it's like
factor.
if you had one, you had a rich parent, or
and even then the tape was only 20 minutes back in the day. Those mini cassettes, and those were expensive. And then
it's like now you can record everything. You can record the whole process of recording your album, and like the behind the scenes and the while you're doing it, and Yeah, no, back then it would have been great to have done that, but none of us could do it.
No, and I ran out of my first backup hard drive on the podcast. I think I did 60-something episodes on it, and then I just bought another one for $20. A terabyte of data.
Wow.
That's insane.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Terabyte.
Like, we used to have discs that were, 3.14 megabytes back in the day?
And that was a
lot.
Yeah.
But all we were using was, like, text documents and maybe an image file. And now it's almost unlimited.
Yeah.
Really.
It's almost,
I mean,
crazy.
this cloud storage stuff is very inexpensive online, or you can just get terabytes and store it on there.
Yeah. God, man.
That's 120 hours of video, to put that in context.
Wow.
A terabyte.
Wow.
That's a lot of
120
storage.
hours?
Yeah, 60 episodes and they're roughly 2 hours a piece, yeah. But then it's like, 10 years ago I freaked out. I was like, I can't afford another one of these.
Yeah.
Just throw it on Amazon cart.
Yeah, whatever.
It's such a freeing factor. But I also feel like you take a director who has CG now. They don't have to be as creative with their scenes. They don't have to be as budget conscious.
Yeah.
I almost feel like creativity, having to be creative forces you to be better in a way.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, oh, yeah. If you can't rely on all the free space and free things. Like, I feel like the Steven Spielbergs were way better than the J.J. Abrams.
Yeah. Because of circumstances and because of lack of technology, whatever, it caused you to be creative.
Yeah. How can we make this look good on this amount of money?
Yeah.
And they found ways.
And so it made you, rack your brain and think of what you could do, and then it turned out awesome, and it's because you took the time to.
George Lucas, great example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, they say, wow, what did it say? Oh God, I'm having drawing.
Who are you talking about, Lucas?
No, I'm just talking about how the saying of like necessity is the
mother of invention.
Mother of invention.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like
absolutely true.
Like it's like if you have to do it, but you can't do it. I mean, you're gonna find a way to do it. I mean, and you're gonna invent a whole new way of,
Well, I was reading. I'm not a big Marvel fan, but like I was reading some of the last Marvel wave, and I think it was Patty Jenkins, I think's her name, was hired to direct the movie, but they were like, you don't have to deal with any of the action scenes. We've got our like CG action coordinator does all that stuff. Yeah. And it's just CG, and and fill-ins.
Yeah,
And that's half the movie, right? So you're hiring directors now just to get like dialogue scenes and everything because everything else is already done.
yeah.
Like they
yeah.
just
you don't even have to think about it.
yeah. And I think that's I don't like that. I think
Yeah.
a director needs to be involved in the whole thing, but it's gotten lazy.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
where you can just make it look good. And I think the human eye can detect CG though. If everything on the screen is CG,
Yeah,
I think you can tell.
yeah, yeah. I think.
Even though it's gotten so good, it just doesn't feel well because it's not real.
Yeah, because it's not real.
Whereas, like the Enterprise in TNG was a 6-foot model with working lights,
yeah,
so it wasn't however long it actually was, but you could go knock on it. It was a physical thing.
Yeah, yeah. It was,
You know?
it was real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I did like, and I'm not a huge fan of the sequel Star Trek movies like the 7, 8, and 9, but
Yeah.
I love that they use practical effects
Yeah.
for the most part. Like they use real shit,
Yeah, they use real
and it
things.
looked fantastic.
Yeah. No, I mean, and it's organic, so it's more believable and
Yeah.
it's more real, you know, because it is, you know.
Did you ever get into Godzilla movies at all?
Some.
Not so much,
yeah,
though.
Yeah.
The new one, minus Godzilla minus one, is phenomenal.
Is
Might
it?
be the greatest Godzilla movie they've ever made.
Oh,
yet.
really?
Yeah. If you haven't seen it, I would highly recommend it.
Okay, cool. No, I got into like, you know, the old ones whenever I was a kid, you know, like, you know, the old school, but you know, Godzilla versus Mothra.
I never grew out of it, dude.
Yeah.
And my oldest one loves them too, so we can nerd out on
Oh,
them.
really? Cool.
Yeah, so we do movie night every Friday night, so we rotate picks, and like Max will just go through and rotate out like the old Godzilla movie, the cheesy ones, you
Yeah.
know, and the brothers are like, God, no!
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it's funny if you put subtitles on and dubs, like the English doesn't match the English.
Yeah.
So what they're saying over the Japanese voices is not matching the subtitles, so it adds an extra level of hilarity on it. It's like that's not even matching. It's a whole. It's an experience.
Yeah. Nice.
It's like a British humor thing. It's you either get it or you don't. Like some people just
Yeah,
don't get
yeah.
British humor. And my grandma. You were talking about your uncle that turned you on all that stuff. My grandma was that for me. You know, she was a herpetologist. She was a reptile doctor. She always had snakes and lizards and and fucking turtles around and rocks. And you know, she was into sci-fi and all that stuff. And she turned me on to Godzilla. She'd babysit me when I was a little kid, and she'd just record them off the TV, but she'd be home and she'd pause it for the commercials, you know, on VHS tapes. You do that and then unpause it. So she'd record, they'd have a marathon or something, and she knew she'd be coming out, so she'd record 5 or 6 of these movies and bring them over, and then we'd watch 1 or 2, and then she'd leave the tape with me. So I had all these tapes of all these old Godzilla movies that she had just recorded off TV.
Awesome.
And so I used to just watch the shit out of them, man. And
God, you got a cool grandmother.
oh, she was fucking amazing.
Awesome.
She did her doctorate thesis on hognose snakes. That was actually her. That was one she had in her office. That hognose snake.
Really?
Yeah, but she was paying people in the Star Shopper. You remember the Star Shopper?
Yep.
She was basically paying people to bring her hognose snakes so she could observe them. She had them in the house, and she's studying breeding habits and all these things.
Oh,
and she had, I don't know how many were in there, well over 100, I think.
Oh my God.
And now the population's gone. I think she somehow I don't know what happened.
Are they really hognose?
They are, but it's probably uncorrelated. But
Yeah,
my
yeah.
theory is like she dumped them all in the same spot or something, and it collapsed. Eagles, because they're very rare now, but so are rattlesnakes. Snakes in general. I mean, people are afraid of them, especially.
I'm scared of snakes.
Yeah, I mean, so people kill them. I don't like poisonous ones, but like rat snakes and stuff are good to have around. They get rid of the rodents
They're
and
good
stuff,
to have,
but
yeah.
you know, snakes just get killed, and there's more people around now. So
Yeah,
like, I haven't
and-
seen a rattlesnake since I was 6.
Really,
It's been 20 years since I've
No,
been.
rattlesnakes are getting there. I've always said I don't trust anything that moves on this planet without legs. You know, if it moves on the earth and it doesn't have legs, I just can't trust it. You know, like.
You know, I'll tell you that I don't
But it's
want
just
to really
it's
admit
just-
this on a podcast, but I'm terrified of slugs.
Slugs?
Yeah, dude.
Oh wow.
You talking about something that
They are kind
unnatural?
Yeah, they
like,
are kind of creepy.
if snakes had stalk eyes, it would freak me out way more.
Yeah.
Like slugs, it's an irrational fear. I know they can't harm me,
Uh-huh.
but I'm so I will scream like a 6-year-old girl, dude,
Yeah.
if I see a slug. I'm just
That's
like,
how. That's how I'm with snakes.
Yeah?
Yeah. And even spiders too, because I've been bitten by brown recluse twice. Two
Ugh,
different
that's
times.
nasty.
Yeah.
I have once. It's
So
a nasty.
yeah, spiders and snakes, I just don't mess with at
But
all.
that's a
I'm scared of
rational
them.
fear
Yeah.
because they can harm you.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah.
get it. I think I was just around them so much as a kid. I thought,
Yeah,
I
they
just
didn't-
was kind of normalized to them.
Yeah. That's
And
cool.
she taught in college science, and she'd have like, I've got a rattlesnake up there in the corner. She's got taxidermy. Just she had dead animals all over the house.
Yeah.
You'd open her freezer up to get a popsicle, and there'd be like roadkill in there, like a dead snake she found on the side of the road.
Yeah.
And just threw it in the freezer
Yeah.
for later. It was just a weird.
Yeah, uh-huh.
And I was the only grandson. I think most of the granddaughters probably thought she was weird, but I think she was cool as shit.
Yeah, that's cool.
You know,
No,
so-
that's,
Yeah, it's crazy how people can leave such a lasting
yeah.
influence on your life
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah, and I mean, and define
Who
who you
you
are
are.
as a person.
Yeah.
Like
How old were you when your uncle passed?
he was. I was probably like 12.
Oh, so you were young.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
really
that's
young.
devastating.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, because it was before I became a teenager. So yeah, I think I was
Yeah.
12 when he killed himself. Yeah, and yeah, God, and I loved. He was just like my favorite. He was like my favorite family member, really, like
Yeah.
my favorite uncle or aunt or whatever. But like
Yeah.
one of my just favorite people.
Yeah,
He was just like
yeah.
so cool, And at the time when I was young, I mean, I didn't know he was gay at the time when I was younger. I didn't know that about him. I found that out like later on or whatever, and explained a lot, But yeah, I just knew, that he got me into all these cool things that like, my parents and my brother and everybody else wasn't into. Like they weren't into comic books.
Mhm.
They weren't into skateboarding and sci-fi.
Right.
All these things. Like they just weren't into that, and he was totally into it. And got me all into that.
Sounds like a cool dude, man.
Yeah, and you say like people affecting who you are. Like my dad, my dad was the best human on the planet, and I'm basically my dad. So if anybody's like, "Oh man, I love you. You're such a great person," I'm like, "Because my dad. Because
Really?
I'm just a carbon copy of my dad."
Your parents still both living?
No. My mom and dad and my brother have all passed.
Sorry,
So,
man.
yeah, it's cool.
Man, that's tough.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird spot because I'm 51, so I'm older, but yeah, my brother who is 10 years older than me, so he would have been 61, but my brother, my mom and my dad, and like most of my uncles and aunts, like I'm pretty much just down to like a few cousins, and they all still live in South Arkansas, so I see
Man.
them every now and then, but not really,
I can't even imagine that.
It's weird. It's a weird
Yeah.
thing. And what's funny is like, and I guess not funny. What's odd is that I knew when I was young that I wasn't gonna have my parents around for much of my adulthood. It's like I always kind of knew, like, because my parents. So
What do you mean?
So okay, so I was adopted, and so my brother's 10 years older than me. And
Okay.
so my parents had my brother, and they tried for years and years and years to have another kid and couldn't. So then they adopted me.
Okay.
And so when they adopted me, they were like in their 40s. So
Oh.
so I always kind of thought like
I gotcha.
my parents are older. Like all my friends'
Yeah.
parents were like in their late 20s, 30s.
30s,
My
yeah.
parents were in their 40s.
Yeah.
They were way older than all my friends' parents and stuff. And so I always kind of thought, I'll probably have my parents till maybe my 40s if I'm lucky. But even as a little kid, I remember thinking like,
So they were probably old enough to be your grandparents.
yeah,
Basically, yeah.
They kind of were.
So it was like losing that generation. Because I
Yeah.
just lost, my last grandparent was 2022.
Wow, so you still have your parents and
Yeah, I've still got both my parents and my
so,
sister, yeah, for sure.
That's
and
awesome.
and most of my aunts and uncles, yeah. I lost an aunt to suicide when I was 10, but it wasn't the close relationship like you had. She lived in Louisiana. I didn't see her very much. It was my grandpa. Well, it was her dad. Runs in the family, but
Yeah.
he was the one that took himself out in 2022. And that was a weird deal because you don't know how deep that pain goes.
Yeah.
I'd seen him. So he had basically had like urethra blockage, a scar tissue.
Uh-huh.
And so they had to cut that out. He had a catheter in. He's late 70s, 38, 70 something. I'm not going to do the math. Anyway, he had to go back in and have the surgery a second time.
Yeah.
And he's already not getting around well. He's living alone. My grandma had been dead for 8 years. And I'd seen him the day before. I'd had lunch with him. and I asked him, I was like, hey, why don't you move in with us? Like, and he was like, no, I would never burden anybody with this, just like I would never do that to you kind of thing. And then the next day he was gone.
Wow.
And you're just like,
yeah, like,
where'd that come from? You know, it's like, God, that must suck. And then you're wondering, like, trying to put yourself in his shoes, and you already are having trouble doing everything. You got to go in for another surgery.
Yeah.
You got all this recovery. You're living alone. What the fuck do you?
Yeah.
He just wanted out, man.
Yeah. He just didn't. Was like, I'm not doing it again. I'm just not doing this another time.
Yeah, that's just like, I'm going to choose my own ending, which is a very different story than what your uncle. Obviously, he had a lot of life ahead of him, and he felt like he was inside, and that is much more tragic.
Yeah, because he was like in his 30s.
Young man. My aunt was in her 30s too. What compel? Obviously, being gay in that age is probably a huge. I mean, that is part of your identity.
Yeah.
And you can't.
And he was
speak to it.
And I know he would, like, because my brother, but like I said, my brother was 10 years older than me. So my brother was. My uncle was the baby of the family with my with my dad's side of the family, so he was the baby. So he was like, and then my dad was the oldest of the kids, and so like my
the baby brother on your dad's side.
Yeah. So and then my dad was the oldest of all the kids. They had 6 kids, and my dad was the first, and then my uncle that killed himself was the youngest, and so my uncle was really only about like maybe 6 years older than my brother. I mean that. So they were real close now. Like, there was maybe like 8 years difference or something in them.
That's wild.
And so they were super close. And and then my brother, would tell me like, he had a real hard time dealing with the fact that he was gay, and just like, not because apparently everybody knew except for me, I guess, whatever. But like, he just felt like everybody looked down on him and judged him and said he was, he's going to hell because he's, whatever.
Well, people do say that still.
Yeah, and so I guess just all that, and he was just like, I'm just not doing this. I'm not living this life.
We've come a long way on that front.
Oh yeah, big time. I'm glad. Yeah,
same.
I'm super super glad. Yeah, we have a lot of.
Yes. I grew up in the 90s, and I'd talk a lot of... I think race relationships were a lot better in the 90s. I felt like they were in a good place, but the homophobia was at an all-time high, like even late 90s.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's...
It's gotten so much better.
I just don't think it's a thing. I just don't...
Yeah.
Well...
I mean,
there's going to be pockets of it. There's going to be pockets, but I mean, in general,
people don't even look like they don't look at it like it's even anything that's really different or anything.
Well, if it doesn't affect you, why do you care?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, let people do what they want to do.
Now the people that's dealing with it, honestly, are the trans, trans kids, especially trans kids and trans people that, are going through the transition of becoming another sex, and so people are giving them, and it's like. They feel like they're a boy, but they feel like a girl, and they want to be a girl, and they want to do what they got to, and people, are looking down on them, giving them shit, and it's like, but what does it matter to you if that person wants to take hormones and have a surgery to become a female when they were born a male? How does that affect you?
Well, my only thing with it is letting kids make permanent decisions.
Yeah.
You don't let kids get tattoos.
Yeah.
You don't let... If my kid said, Dad, I want to be a dinosaur, I'm not going to turn you into a dinosaur, right?
Exactly.
I didn't know what I wanted to be until... Well, I'm 42 and I still don't know what I want to be.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to make you... That's my problem with the whole trans thing, is letting these kids take hormone blockers and stuff when 90% of the time... It's just puberty, and you're confused as shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah, no,
After puberty, you want to do something? Let's talk.
Yeah.
But before puberty...
Yeah. I mean, once you're like over 18,
Oh.
you're 18, you're technically adult, you're 18.
Do whatever the hell you want.
So you can go and die for your country at 18, by being drafted if we have a war. And so if, you should be able to make that kind of decision,
100%.
But before that. But I mean, a lot of people just don't think, like, even someone that's,
But
18,
if you're 12,
20,
and you think you want to be a girl and you want to take puberty blockers to escape puberty, and then it causes all kind of complications, and you change your mind, or even breast removal surgery for teenage girls and stuff like that. It's like, man, if you want to do that when you're 18, that's one thing. I just if my own kids said, Dad, I want to be a fucking pirate, I want a beard grafted on my face, son.
Yeah.
When you're 18, you can do what you want.
Yeah, do what you want.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. No, and I totally agree with that too. But I just think that people should, society should just like leave them alone, man. If somebody's 20 years old and they are like, I've always felt like a girl, and I know I'm a boy, but I've always felt like a girl, and I want to be a girl, and I want to dress like a girl, and then do what you need to do to be happy. Like
100%.
take hormones, take hormone blockers, go have surgery, whatever you got to do, to be happy and to be the sex that you feel like you are. But I think people shouldn't give them shit about it because that's their
So we
life.
can both basically from people probably different sides of the aisle just settle this right now. When you're 18, do whatever the fuck you want. Nobody cares.
Yeah, exactly.
And good on you.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Support you.
Because you're an
but
adult
just
now.
let's not make kids make grown-up decisions.
Yeah,
that's all I ask.
Yeah. I mean, because
I didn't know what the fuck I wanted to do.
I know,
dude. If I look back at myself at 16, I think of me as an idiot.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Totally.
I'm like,
totally.
God, I was so selfish.
No, and I thought I knew everything at 16.
Of
I thought I knew
course.
everything, and you couldn't tell me anything because I just had all the answers.
Zero
up here.
wisdom, but
Yeah.
all just
all the bravado.
bravado.
Yeah.
yeah, just the bullshit.
Yeah. And you think you know, but you really don't have a fucking clue.
Oh,
You
I
really
didn't
don't.
respect my parents until I was a parent of two. Until I was in their shoes,
Yep, I told my parents very very many times in my late 20s. I was just like, wow, you guys are awesome, because I mean, I treated you guys like crap, and I didn't respect you, and like they're and I put you guys through some shit, but now I see now I see your point.
Well, I say I respect them a lot more. I still disagree with a lot of the way things were handled. But I at the time, you can't put yourself in their shoes.
Yeah.
You don't have the perspective.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have to pay for your own heating costs and
yeah.
all the things they're responsible for and trying to worry about on top of your well-being.
Oh yeah. Because once I became an adult, I saw because I grew up on a farm. My dad, was a farmer. And there was times like
What did y'all have on the farm?
We grew soybeans.
Okay.
Yeah. So I grew up on 1,000-acre farm.
Jesus.
In South Arkansas. 1,000 acres of land that was all ours,
That's insane.
Yeah, it was. And so we grew soybeans and harvested soybeans, and we had like cows and chickens and horses for a while, and dogs and cats, and we had the barn with hay in it, and I mean like all that stuff, and 1,000 acres, like so basically. So I remember as a little kid, one time my dad, I was like, me and my dad were on the tractor and we were going out and I said, Dad, so how much of this is ours? Like how much of this do we own? Like do we own that part over there and not that? And he was like, all this, like as far as you can see that we own this is all ours. This is Hollingshead Farms right here. As far as you can see, we own it. And I was like, wow, okay. I mean, and then it really sunk in, like, wow, I live on this huge farm,
Who owns it now?
Huh?
Who owns it now?
They sold it. They sold it because my dad wanted so bad for me or my brother to take over the farm, and to become a farmer and take over the farm and whatever. My brother wasn't feeling it because he was dealing with his own issues of being bipolar and being and either dealing with it or not dealing with it, and then dealing with the repercussions of that. But so he was in no position or whatever, and quite frankly was really lazy because of his his bipolar. He would go through months of not having a job and then get a job and then get fired or what, but then me, I was gonna be the next John Bonham. I didn't need to be on a farm because I needed to move to LA and get in a band and get signed and tour the world and get rich and famous. That in my mind, that was my destiny. That's what I was gonna do.
If you could choose, do you wish that had happened to you? Looking back, do you wish you'd have gotten rich and famous at a young age?
No, I mean yes and no. I mean
That's fair answer.
I mean
It would have been cool.
Yes and no, because it would have been really cool. It would have been a lot of fun, but I would be dead. I wouldn't be here now.
That's my answer. I'd be dead.
I'd be dead.
No doubt about it.
I would have done lots
I
of
would have
lots
OD'd
of drugs. Yes.
day 2.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, and I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I partied a lot in my 20s, and I did a lot of drugs, and I drank a lot, and people would go, here, take these, and I would go, cool, drink it and chase it down, and what did I take? Oh, I just gave you 2 bars of Xanax. Cool, awesome. I mean, I did that. I mean, I lived that life because I was gonna be a rock star, so I was practicing or I don't know, whatever, And but yeah, no, I would be dead. I mean, so I'm glad that it didn't go that route, But yeah, my dad wanted me to take over the farm, and I was like, I'm not about that. I'm gonna be a rich rock star. See you, Dad. So I moved, and moved away from South Arkansas and moved to Fayetteville. I was going to Chicago, but got stuck here and then just stayed here and liked it, And
How did you get stuck here?
So I came up here, and one of my friends was going to the University of Arkansas. Okay. So I stopped up here, and I was just going to hang out with him for a week or two, and then go to Chicago. Why? I don't know, because I hate the cold weather and I hate winter, and that's Chicago is cold and windy. And
what made you pick Chicago?
Because a lot of bands at the time were getting big there and
Pumpkins
stuff.
got big out of there.
Pumpkins got big there. I mean, like a lot of bands were.
Wasn't Dave Grohl from Chicago originally?
Yeah. Well, no, he lived there for a while, but he was originally from D.C., the D.C. area.
Oh, okay.
But I think he lived in Chicago for a little bit.
Yeah.
Like on the way.
I think he was living there when Nirvana hired him. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Okay.
And so I was going up there, even though I hate winter and I hate cold, and I would have hated living there. But yeah, I was going there, and so I stopped here because my friend was going to University of Arkansas. It was a guy that played guitar in my band in Arkadelphia, that played in that hair metal band with me and stuff. And so
it all goes back to this hair metal band.
I know, right? It's all hair metal.
You need to bring that band. Is everybody still alive? Isn't that hair metal?
Yeah, I think they are. Yeah.
You need to do a reunion show.
I know, a reunion show of
just a one-time event. For now,
because Damon lives in Nashville, and
you could make it happen.
Yeah, and the guitarist lives up in Avoca.
That's what I'm trying to live the second half of my life, or maybe I hope it's half. I hope it's not the last. But I'm trying to do all the shit that I don't know. I spent so long cut off, and I kind of withdrew from society for a long time, like 10 years. But I was raising my kids. I wanted to just be, I wanted to focus on that. But then you got to look forward to like, hey, they're gonna be doing their own thing someday.
Yeah. And then what do I do?
And I'm gonna need something to do. I can't just sit here and calcify. For 20 years while my kids are growing up. You got to do something. But man, that would be cool if you reunited that group.
Yeah. It would be cool.
Even if just for like a one-time event.
Just
let's do one show.
Yeah, I could probably do it. Honestly, really. I mean, because
would that be fun?
Yeah. I mean, because most
you've
everybody
referenced it like 3 times.
Yeah, I mean, because most everybody lives in Arkansas still, and then the singer lives in Nashville, but he comes here all the time to visit.
But here's the beautiful thing too. Like back then, you had to be in the same room to practice. Now
you don't.
You can just have the demo or the video or whatever you practice. Then you get into a room and do a rehearsal.
Yeah.
Because you're all professionals.
Yeah.
It's not going to take long to click.
Yeah.
So do your homework at home. Then get together. You do your show.
Yeah.
Film it maybe.
We could probably make it happen. I mean, seriously.
But those are the kind of possibilities we had now.
Yeah, especially with technology and everything. Yeah, no, but I got here and to see him and stay for 2 weeks, and my car broke down. And my car broke down in Fayetteville, and so then
you probably have not much money.
Yeah, I didn't have any money, and so I was living in his dorm with him.
In a dorm?
Yeah, I was living in his because he was going to the University of Arkansas.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
So I
assumed he was like living in an apartment or something.
Yeah,
so you're living in his dorm room.
Yeah, so I'm living in his dorm room with him at the University of Arkansas until the campus police see me too many times and kick me out and tell me not to come back.
Really?
Or they're gonna call the cops. And so then at that point I'm living in my car. I'm like homeless and I'm living in my car.
Yeah,
and then I find out that one of my friends that I went to college with is living in Fayetteville. And so I go and I see him and he's like, where are you living, man? I'm like, well, I'm kind of staying in my car. I don't really have a place to stay. He's like, no, man, come move in with me. Stay with me. You can stay with me, blah, blah. So I stayed with him and I was going to work. I was going to get a job and work and fix my car and then go to Chicago. But I got a job at Subway. Which is within walking distance of the apartment that we lived in over in East Fayetteville, basically where I'm living now. And I'm working at Subway and I get enough money and I get my car fixed. But then at that point I'm like, man, I kind of like Fayetteville. Fayetteville's pretty cool, man. I've met a lot of really cool people.
What year is this?
This is 93.
It was 93. Okay.
Yeah. So
Right.
I'm like, I've met a lot of cool people, and there's a lot of really good musicians, and Fayetteville has a pretty good music scene and stuff. And
yeah.
I'm like, maybe I'll just stay here and do some stuff here. Maybe, maybe get a band going here, just jam with some people. If I don't like it, I can always just go on to Chicago, so I start jamming with some people here, and here we are.
I hadn't been on Dixon in like 10 years, and we went down to the Walton Arts Center to see Mark Normand perform, the comedian.
Yeah.
And I was just so distraught by how many of the old bars were gone. Bars that had been there like forever, and up until even when I stopped playing live, that were just gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all different, man.
It's
all
just
different. I mean, it's
now.
gentrification,
I mean,
man.
It's
all about
really
it's all about let's make everything super fancy, and let's raise all the rent. Let's make everything super awesome so that everybody wants to come here, and
there's no vibe anymore.
Yeah, there's no vibe. There's no
And I thought I'd like the drinking on the street kind of a thing, but it just feels like if that had been a thing back in the day, it would have been awesome.
Yeah.
But now it's just douchey, man.
Yeah. Now it's just so like
you're just there's not going to be any crazy shit going on out here. You know what I mean? It's very tame.
Anyway, especially,
there were so many fights. Like, it was like going out in the jungle.
Yeah.
Like, fights and shit and security officers beating the fuck out of people. Like, it was just a crazy time.
Oh, and I mean,
you didn't know what you were going to see.
I told people, like, back then, like, a group of us would be walking down Dixon Street, bar hopping, smoking a joint, and a big group of people, and we would walk by a cop, and they wouldn't even say, not even a word. Like, we'd be smoking a joint.
Really?
Yeah. I remember one time, me and a group of my friends, we walked by, we smoking a joint, and we, while we're walking down Dixon Street, passing it around, being real obvious because we're stupid and young, and we see a cop, and, of course, we did this number, but they just kept on walking by, and we were just like...
Well, how do they even enforce that? You got a group of people. Like, what are they going to do?
We're just like, wow, okay, well, cool. But there's stuff like that all the time.
I grew up in a culture that demonized marijuana so bad. It was like, basically, you were getting fucked by the devil if you did any kind of THC, right? It was just demonized. Mm-hmm. And I remember going to a concert at a young age and just smelling weed. It was like... I can't believe these people are doing this here. Yeah. Not only are they going to hell, but they're going to get arrested.
Yeah.
And I was like,
my family was the same way. I mean, I grew up very strict Southern Baptist, and so.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean.
Yeah, I meant to ask you earlier if they were like a religious, because my mom was Episcopal, different,
very
a little
strict
bit,
Southern Baptist. I mean, I had to go to church every Sunday morning, every Sunday night, and every Wednesday night until I was 16.
Oh wow, 3 times.
Yeah.
See, I only had to go Sunday morning.
No, I had to go Sunday morning, then I had to go Sunday
3
night, and then I
times a
also had to go
week.
Wednesday night. Yeah, until I was 16.
You better hope God remembers that when you die.
I know, right? I know.
And maybe that'll get you through to the end.
It'll get me. But it was. And my parents said, when you're 16, we're going to let you make your decision. We'll consider that you're becoming an adult, and we'll let you start making up your mind. If you want to go, we still strongly urge you to go to church.
Right.
But if you don't want to, we're not going to force you anymore after you're 16. And I was like, okay. I turned 16 and quit going.
At all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't go at all anymore after that.
Did it ever click with you? Did you ever?
Yeah, I liked the belief. I like the belief in faith,
the message,
and believing something. Message and believing something. Something.
Well, they're not bad guidelines.
Yeah.
I mean, love your brother.
Yeah.
Do good shit.
Love your brother.
Yeah. It's a good message.
Treat other people as you treat your. Treat people how you want to be treated.
Right.
Love people like you love yourself. Love thy neighbor as thyself. All that good stuff. And everything. And just the idea of just having faith and believing in something bigger than you, I thought was always kind of cool. Like, having something in having faith in something.
Well, you hope there's something bigger than you, right? Otherwise, everything's meaningless.
Yeah, then you can't, you can't see it, you can't touch it, you can't prove it, but just
you have
having
to have
faith in something,
that it's there,
I thought that's cool,
yeah.
And
I'm down with that.
Yeah, but I mean, there's just all the the thing I have problems with is religion. Religion is the problem.
Agreed.
I mean, like believing in something and believing in like
beautiful.
a God or a higher power bigger
That's a
than
beautiful
us.
thing.
Yeah, that's cool. But like believing, just the whole religious thing. Like you have to go to church all the time, and you have to believe this way, and you have to believe the way that we believe, or
Right.
you're wrong. Like that's.
Well, they always say it's a personal relationship with Christ.
Yeah.
Well, if that's the case, I have one.
Yeah.
I don't need
And
you
I don't
to show me how.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
Go.
I know.
And there's a lot of.
Yeah.
They feel like they got to convert your soul. They got to get you to go to their church, otherwise you're going to be lost. And that didn't work on me because I don't believe,
exactly.
this in the first place. And I believe in the teachings and the word of the spirit of it, but like whether he was the son of God or not,
Yeah.
to me doesn't even matter.
Yeah. It's just
He changed the system.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and the whole I mean, just treat people the way you want to be treated. Love people the way you love yourself.
It seems pretty obvious actually.
Yeah.
But it also doesn't help that 9, like if I just broke it down into like numbers, 9 evil people that I know are Christians, and the one good person I know is an atheist.
Yeah.
And it's over and over and over throughout my entire life that the most evil, horrendous people I know are big Bible thumpers, and some of the most wonderful, amazing, kind, caring people are atheists.
Yeah.
So you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. My best friend in the world is atheist, and I've been best friends with him since middle school. I grew up with him in South Arkansas, and he's still my best friend to this day. And he's total atheist. He doesn't believe.
Yeah.
And he's the nicest guy, and he's always got my back. And I mean, the cool thing about him is especially when I lived in Atlanta, we wouldn't talk to each other at all, like talk or communicate, text, nothing for like a year or two. And then as soon as we did, it's like
No
nothing
time's
ever happened.
passed,
It's like we talked last week, and we're just catching up on old times since last week. And it's always been that way with him.
Yeah.
Our whole relationship.
I got buddies like that too.
It's like he's always.
But they
there.
find ways to come back into your lives.
Mm-hmm,
It's kind of a fated thing, and I believe in fate. I believe in destiny.
Oh yeah, me too.
I believe that even if God is an AI.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? From the distant past or future, but he has a plan for everything. Like calculate all possible means,
and then
execute. It's not, if you think of it in terms like that, but I don't think God is even comprehensible to our minds.
Yeah.
Like we
I can
can't
see that,
even comprehend the size of the state of Arkansas.
Yeah.
Let alone the universe. You know what I mean? And every thought and within it. But a lot of these people are just so confident that their way is the right way. Like, if there was one right way, there wouldn't be 52 denominations.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like,
and that their way is the only right way.
but within each of those
only-
denominations, there's 52 churches, right? And they're all the right ones. And it's like, man, that's a charlatan. That's a charlatan premise.
Yeah.
Just say that you have the answer, and I don't buy it.
And these people don't.
And the music is terrible. I'm sorry. I'm gonna piss a lot of people off for that, but guys, work it up again. It's not working. My goodness, that was the thing that killed me on it, was the music.
The music,
like,
yeah.
like it was torture. It was like getting my fingernails ripped off in a Chinese prison. It was like that made me love metal more than anything.
Yeah, right.
It was because when I got out of there and I put on Pantera, it was like a release.
Yeah,
it was like,
okay.
yeah. I don't know. Sorry for that rant, but that's been coming for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think Christianity's a beautiful thing. I think religion, well, not religion in and of itself as a mechanism, but like the idea of belief in higher powers, of a faith
in something.
Yeah, it's beautiful. But it's cool for people to have their own personal spirituality.
Yeah.
It's a very personal thing to me.
Exactly. And everybody doesn't have to believe the same way.
It's almost, I don't want to use the term sensual. It sounds a little weird spiritually, but like it's deeper than it. I won't say romantic either. I don't know how to put it. It's a spiritual thing.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like I need to share that with everyone or hear your spiritual relationship. You know,
exactly.
Like, I got mine and I'm cool.
Yeah. No, that's always what I had the problem with people telling me, like, well, you don't believe the right way, or you're not believing in the right God, or you're not believing the correct, proper way to believe. And it's like, look, my relationship with my God, that's between me and him. It has nothing to do with you. You just butt out of it. It's not me and
But
him.
it bothers them.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It always bothers them, and they keep checking in on your soul.
Yeah. And it's
It's like you're not asking about me personally and how I'm doing. You're asking, have I conformed to your personal way of thinking?
Yeah.
You don't care about me at all.
And if not, why not?
Why
and
not?
What can you
And
do
what
to
can-
make me? Yeah.
So I'm not alone in this.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Yeah, I didn't think so, but it's nice to hear, because that's been my experience my entire life.
Yeah.
And every time it happens, it pushes me farther away another step.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
So we're like
you're just pushing me away.
Yeah,
Man. I mean,
I'm so
you're-
far out of your range now, bro.
Exactly. You're doing the opposite of converting.
Oh.
Yeah. You're just pushing
Well, if
me away.
you have to convert, I figure if your product is good enough, like, that's why I've never understood like the insane advertising dollars. Like, if you have a good enough product that everybody wants, and you make the supply just under the demand, autopilot.
Yeah. Just coast.
You know,
Yeah,
and Nintendo's fucked with that for a long time, of trying to like make way under the demand. Like, I don't know if you remember when the Switch came out, it was the Wii. It took people 2 years to get a Wii.
Oh yeah.
You know, and a lot of the people were like, "Oh, it's been 2 years. Fuck it, I don't even care now."
Yeah. I
Like,
don't even
I'm
want
already
one.
2 years out, and I think they end up losing money by trying to control the market. I just feel like if you just let the market choose without manipulating it, like, people buy subscribers on YouTube,
Yeah.
they buy them on Spotify. You get into these partnership programs where you basically run ads, and they put you in front of a bunch of people, but they're not going to be repeat customers.
Yeah.
They're going to be, you know, you're going to be a flash in the pan, whereas, like, if you can do it organically, just from the ground up, and everybody that comes to you does it because they want to. Now, it's a long plan.
Yeah.
Like, it takes a long time to grind
Yeah, to get-
but I feel like that's a better way to do it
Yeah. Yeah.
than
I
getting
can see that.
fake interest.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. No. It totally makes sense.
I don't know. I'm getting esoterical in my old age.
Yeah.
I'm getting a lot of things.
Welcome to getting older, man.
Pain. And a lot, do you, well, what are you, 83? So 8 years older than me? Do you
No,
feel like you can sense?
So you're yeah.
I'm 81.
81. Okay. Yeah.
So do you feel like weather shifts and pattern shifts, like barometric pressure?
Yeah.
and pa-
Sometimes. Yeah.
I thought that was a myth.
Yeah. No.
It's not at all.
And especially since I destroyed my shoulder and I had to have reconstructive
How'd you
surgery
do
on it.
that?
I had a wreck when I lived in Atlanta.
On
And,
what?
So I pulled out into oncoming traffic because this
In
woman was,
like a car?
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I was driving. Thank God I was
Kind
driving
of like a dirt bike jumping off
No, I had
Grand Canyon or
just
something.
driving a truck. I had a Ram 1500. Thank God. And I pulled out at night, leaving work, and this woman was driving a black car with her lights off, and I didn't see her
With her lights on?
with her lights off. And so I just looked, and I didn't see any car coming this way, and I looked here, and I didn't see a car coming this way. So I pulled out, and as soon as I got into the intersection, bam. Yeah, I got hit.
Did she get in trouble for that?
No, I got in trouble because I pulled out into oncoming traffic. So I got the citation.
You got the citation.
Yeah, because I
Did you
pulled
explain
out.
lights were off?
Yep. And
Did she admit it?
And the cop, no, she said she had her lights on. And the cop told me, he said, "Well, do you have like a dash cam?" And I said, "No, dude, I don't have a dash cam." I'm like, no, you know. And he was like, "What about your?" Because I just left my job, and he was like, "What about? Do you work here?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm the manager there." And he was like, "Do you have a cameras in the parking lot?" And I was like, "No, we don't." And he was like,
So he was trying to help you.
Yes, he was trying. He said, "You."
He believed
said,
you.
You don't tell me that y'all don't have cameras in your parking lot for like safety reasons and blah blah blah. And I said, "No, I said no. We're kind of a mom and pop."
But what year
type-
is this?
This was 2020. Yeah.
That's pretty recent. I mean,
yeah.
but there's still places that don't have cameras. But
Yeah. I mean, you know,
Probably
so
should,
there was-
but
yeah. I mean,
if you don't ever need them.
we really should have. I mean, you know, if nothing else, just like he said, for safety for parking lots. So like, if you know, because it was like a business, like it was a dog boarding and daycare facility, like what I'm doing here, you know, in
Yeah.
Arkansas, but it was in Georgia, and so you know, technically, I guess the owner should have had it in case someone got robbed in her parking lot. She could have some footage, or you know, or just you know, like you know, whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
but,
you shouldn't be liable for that, but,
yeah, but
I
you know,
get it. That's the world we live in.
Yeah,
Like,
but-
I didn't used to have cameras out here, and then it was like, man, why not?
Yeah, why not? Yeah. Well, and that's the cop was like, well, he said, if you had cameras on your business, or if you had camera like a dash cam or something, and you could prove she didn't have her lights on, you'd be in the clear, dude. You'd be good. He said, but you have no proof of it, and you pulled out into oncoming traffic.
So he went with the letter of the law
Yeah.
because you couldn't prove otherwise.
Yeah.
I mean,
So it was my fault.
your word against.
My
Was it if you couldn't
my
see
insurance
her?
went woo
I
out
get
the
it.
roof. Yeah, because I also had a speeding ticket and
Yeah.
another thing. But
So you're the hippie looking dude that.
yeah. So got
got
but
profiled,
but she
man.
hit me and she was going about 45 and I pulled out and I just pulled
and
out.
it just wrecked your shoulder.
Yeah, dude, destroyed it.
So when
I
you
mean,
say reconstructive surgery, what does that mean?
so what they did was they had to put a rod and 4 screws in here to hold everything back together, because the humerus, the ball that pops in right here, that sits right here, so that the top of it got shaved off, and then it put a couple of cracks, one going here and one going here, and it dislocated. And so most people, when they dislocate their shoulders, the humerus just pops out of the.
I'm feeling uncomfortable just listening
I
to
know,
you talk
I
about
know.
this, dude.
So most people it just pops out right, like that. Well, mine popped out and went back here behind this, so my humerus bone was back here instead of right here, and so they had to pop it back in place, and then like I said, the top of the humerus, the ball joint was shaved off and was just kind of floating around, and then I had 2 cracks, and the other part
Son of a bitch.
So they had to put a rod going through there to put everything back together and hold it together, but then they had to have something to hold the rod in place, so they put 2 screws here and 2 screws here. So I've got 4 screws and a rod going through my shoulder. And and my big concern was I told my surgeon, I said, and my surgeon told me, he said, okay, what were you driving again? I said, well, I was driving a big Ram 1500 truck, and he was like, that saved your life. He said, if you would have been driving a smaller vehicle or even like a small SUV, he said, you would either be dead or you'd be paralyzed.
Really?
He said, so that big truck saved your life and saved you from being paralyzed. So I appreciate it. And the truck was totaled. I mean, the truck was completely totaled and whatever. He said, but, thank God for that truck, or you would be paralyzed or dead right now. So, and I was like,
well,
and I told him, I said, dude, I'm a drummer, and I said, I have to play drums. Like, it's no, like, I want to play drums or I kind of like playing drums. Like, it's my lifeblood. Like, if I can't play drums, I would rather not exist. Like, I don't know if I want to live
is that your,
without,
like, obsessive hobby? Like, is that your main?
It's what gives me the most joy in life.
Right, and that's what I mean.
Yeah,
like, that's your passion. Like, music is for me too. Like, writing.
I mean,
well, when I can do it with other people, it's not fun alone.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, true. I mean, and I did play, like, when I lived in Atlanta, I didn't play in a band. I've jammed with some people and stuff, but I didn't.
You were down there for a while, though.
Yeah,
right?
I was there for 12 years.
And you didn't ever play in a band?
No, I played with some people. I jammed with some friends that
Did
played
that
or
not
whatever.
feel empty?
No, well, it was. Yeah, it was. I was. It was.
We went 12 years without playing a show with Durham, and
I was in a low spot.
It was a
there.
low.
Yeah. I was in a low spot. I was pretty depressed when I was living in Atlanta.
Really?
Yeah. And because like
What took you down there to begin with?
to Atlanta?
Yeah.
A partner that I wanted to be with, so I moved out there. Yeah, to make a relationship work.
Yeah.
And moved out there, and was
Okay. So
happy.
you moved there for somebody.
Yeah. I was there for 12 years, and everything was good, and everything. But the whole time, I had a feeling they were cheating on me, and kept bringing it up, and it was like, no, you're just crazy. You're just imagining things. You're being paranoid. You're smoking too much weed, and so you're paranoid.
Well, it does make you paranoid.
Yeah, and I was like, no, but I just kind of have a feeling like I just, and I was right the whole time. And so after 12 years, I finally was able to prove it, and then I was like, peace, I'm out. See you later. I'm moving
came back home.
I'm moving back home. I'm moving there.
And you
like,
considered
where are
this
you gonna
home?
Where are you gonna go? And I'm like, I'm going back to
You got
Fayetteville.
Northwest Arkansas, bro.
I'm gonna go back to
You got
Fayetteville.
friends here.
Yeah, and so I moved back to
That's
Fayetteville.
nice.
That was 21.
That's beautiful, man.
Yeah, so we broke up.
So you moved back during COVID. That's a fucked up.
Yeah, huh?
That's a fucked
like
up
right
time
when
to
COVID
operate.
was. Yeah. it was like COVID was just starting. It was just starting to get to where people were starting to, be okay, and they were starting to go out to eat at restaurants again, and it, and people were just starting to finally go around without masks on, and yeah. So, but yeah, I'm just moved back here, but yeah, I was there for 12 years, and I never, and the reason why, because I wanted to get a band together, but in Atlanta. The thing about Atlanta is everybody that's really, really super talented and good on their instruments are either completely bonkers crazy, like clinically insane, and need to be on some medication because they have, mental health issues, or they're addicted to drugs.
Really?
And you can't get them to be productive or do anything, even to show up to practice because
Get
they're
out of
so
here.
messed up on
This
drugs.
is an Atlanta thing?
Yeah, in Atlanta. But in Atlanta,
surely there's successful.
And there's a lot of musicians too. But all the ones I dealt with, either the really talented ones that I wanted to be in a band with, were either completely crazy or they were addicted to drugs, so it made it impossible to be in a band with them. Because you just couldn't get them to even function.
It's a deal breaker.
Whatever.
Yeah.
And the people that were reliable and that wanted to be in a band and had their shit together, and they didn't have a lot of mental issues or whatever that kept them from being productive or doing what they wanted to do with their passion and their music, weren't very good.
Yeah,
they just weren't very good. Like I had one guy that played guitar. He came over to jam. We started jamming, and I said, well, "Let's play like Master of Puppets." I said, "You like metal, right?" And he was like, "Oh, I love it." And I was like, "Let's play Master of Puppets. Show me how it goes." And he wanted me to show him how to play it on guitar, and I was like, "Dude, like I'm the drummer. Like you should be able to figure it out. Like." I mean, if you're even halfway decent on guitar, you should be able to kind of figure it out on your own, and then we'll play it. Well, I can't do it. I can't figure that out. I need someone to show me. And I was like,
yeah, I've been very, very spoiled in my career, but I've also not played in as many ventures as you have. But do you remember the bass player for Sober, Stephen Kaufman, big tall son of a bitch?
Yeah,
who died in Farmington?
Yeah. What?
Yeah. He was driving his car. He got into some heavy shit after him and I parted ways. Well, so after Sober, I started a band called The August, and he played bass for that band as well, and he got a DUI, so he couldn't come to practice. I was like, dude, I'm not picking your ass up. Like, I gotta get somebody else. And so we basically just kind of rebranded as Durham. And he ended up getting into some heavy shit, going to jail for battery for like 10 years. Dude, and I toured with this guy. We stayed in the same hotels. I basically lived with him for a long period of time. Chillest dude you ever seen, man. But once you get into the wrong shit, something got violent. He spends 10 years in jail. He gets out. He's asking if I had any of the old Sober stuff, and I was like, dude, I've got all of it. Like, I've got every practice we recorded. I've got all of it. So I put it all on an MP3 disc. I met him. He had his daughter with him. She was like 14 or something. And anyway, got it to him, and we were gonna connect again. And I don't know the scenario, but he was going 100 miles an hour down Broyles, between Weddington and Farmington, killed himself, his daughter, and a lady in another car who had a kid in the other car.
Wow. Oh, man.
And our original drummer for Sober, he died years ago in a police chase. It's weird.
Wow.
It's like, so the first Sober record, I'm the only person alive on that album. It's wild.
That's
it's like
crazy.
No reunion tour on that one.
Man.
But, yeah, dude, it's just fucked up.
That's crazy, man.
Shit happens like that.
Yeah, I mean, and I have some band members that I played with that are no longer here and stuff, but yeah,
it's weird because it's a relationship being in a band.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, it's like being married. I mean, kind of, I mean,
in very many ways, it is.
Yeah, it's like being
dedication,
married.
discipline, expectations.
Yeah. Relying on each other, and
they're either healthy or not healthy. Like there's toxic bands, and
yeah. I mean, it's
it's hard to make a band work.
It is. It's really and
you got egos,
you got egos,
assholes, you got
yeah,
people who don't give a shit.
And no, I mean, and that's the crazy thing is like Liquid Courage is like the easiest thing. It's so easy because all three of us we get along really well. We don't ever argue. We agree on everything.
But you guys have, every year you play, you filter out the bullshit, right? So you guys are now,
and we've been playing together. I mean, because we played together for 3 years, from 2006 to 2009, and then we got back together when I moved back in 21, and now it's 25.
That's beautiful.
So we've been playing together since 21, since September of 21 until now, and yeah, man, it's a beautiful thing because we just agree on everything, and we don't ever argue. We've never once had a discussion or a disagreement where we've raised our voices with each other, even just raised our voices and started screaming at each other. I mean, none of that.
But you will have disagreements.
Yeah, I mean, and we do disagree sometimes, but not very often. And this is the thing, like with Liquid Courage, we'll be like, okay, here's a major decision we need to make. This is what I think we should do. And the other two guys were like, yeah, that's what I was thinking too. And I'm okay,
that's
cool.
Good.
You know, or like we'll be writing a song and I'll say, man, this is really cool, but I think like we should like do the verse and then do the chorus and then do like the next time let's do the verse, but let's go to a bridge instead of going to a chorus because everybody always does a verse, chorus, whatever. So it's like,
A B C B,
and they'll go, yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, let's do that. You know, we just do it, and it ends up being. I mean, like we just always agree on everything.
I think disagreements are healthy in a band as long as everybody can respect them. So you might have three people saying, I don't think the drums ought to be doing this. I think they ought to be doing this. And so it's like, well, what's best for the song? What works? We'll try all three. And let's be objective. Which one sounds better? And say, okay, I was wrong. You know that.
Yeah. And there's sometimes there was a song we were doing with Liquid Courage. Like I had a part where I was playing. I was wanting to be a badass. I was doing lots of fills and trying to be real flashy and everything and do all this super cool stuff. And the guitarist was like, man, stop doing all that. Just play a beat. Just play a really
chill.
Good beat, but just play a beat and do that. Don't do all that fancy stuff. And I'm like, but dude, I'm trying to show off because sometimes I don't feel like I have enough time in our songs to show off. And so I'm trying to show off. And he's like, but do it on a different song. Like, don't do it on this one. Just play a beat. And I'm like, okay, so I'm playing it. And the whole time I'm like, God, this is so boring now. I hate this song, whatever. But then later I'm like, dude, that song sounds so much better with me just playing a straight beat through it. That's exactly
what I should have. So you let go of that ego.
Yeah, so I let go of my ego, and I did what he wanted me to do, even though I totally disagreed. Right. And even though it made the song, the first few times we played it, boring as hell. Yeah. Because I wasn't doing all the flashy shit. Yeah. But then later, I was like a week or two later, I was like, man, that's exactly what that song needed.
But you got to think of the audience, too. And it's not about what you want.
Yeah, it's not about what I want. And it's what the song needs. And if I'm
that's the thing. If you put the song above the egos, then it will work out every time.
Exactly.
As long as everybody's working toward that goal.
Yeah. And now to this day, when like a lot of times when we'll be playing that song live and you'll get to that part where I was normally real busy, Matt will look at me and smirk. You know,
But now you got an inside joke.
Yeah,
right?
We have an inside joke. He'll look at me and smile like, I was right, wasn't I? And I'm like, yeah.
Well, we didn't. Well, you guys went a long time without playing.
Huh?
You went a long time without playing with each other.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And that's very similar to Durham because we went almost 12 years.
Yeah.
And then we started playing again in 23, and the same inside jokes, the same. Yeah. It was like you hadn't played in a month.
Yeah, exactly. That's how Liquid Courage was. We got together after not.
We got a lot of similar themes in our lives, actually.
For 12 years, because I mean, I moved in 09. I moved back in 21. I mean, I'd been gone for 12 years, and we sat down and started. We sat down to practice 2 weeks after I moved back. We sat down to practice, and Matt was like, you know, so what do y'all want to do? And I was like, let's just play through the old songs. I said, does anybody got an old set list? And I was like. Me being the pack rat that I am, I got my cymbal case and I opened up the outside.
In the cymbal case, that's even better.
Oh, dude! And I started going through and I'm finding set lists from like 94, 98, 2001. You know, so I find 2007 Liquid Courage set list. I'm like, let's play this, and they're like, okay, cool. So we just start playing. We start playing the songs that we haven't played in 12 years, and it's like nothing ever happened. It's like we never took even a month off. We just start playing, and they sounded pretty good. I mean, they needed a little tightening up and whatever. We were all playing being a little rusty or whatever, but they sounded pretty good, and we played through the song beginning to end, a bunch of them like that. I mean, just like played through them, got done, We looked at each other like, can you believe we just played that? We haven't played that song in 12 years. And we
Isn't it
just
a
played
beautiful thing?
all the way through the song.
Yeah.
And it was like, wow, cool. You know, like,
Yeah,
we
we'd
got
gone
this.
12 years, and we were like in song 2 or 3, and it just gelled in. It was rusty for a second, and it was just kind of like getting the chain moving through with the oil on it, and then it just clicked, and it was boom.
And then it's good. Yeah, it's like you gotta knock the dust off. You
But
know?
here's
and
how I fucked it up. When you practice, so you practice for 2 hours or whatever it is for an hour and a half set, so there's a lot of talk and there's a lot of stuff in between. You're not doing show rehearsal.
Yeah.
Like you're doing song,
Yeah.
talk, song, right?
talk, yeah.
So my voice was only doing a song at a time. So we play the show, and like I get 2/3 of the way through, and it just goes out.
And your voice is gone.
Yeah, it's gone.
Oh man, yeah.
And so like for the next one, I was like, I made a playlist of the set, and I sang it to work and back from work.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not gonna let that happen again.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the voice is a muscle. You have to work it out. And I
Totally.
was thinking, because I'm hitting these notes, I'm fine. But it's not that. It's the stamina
Yeah, oh,
of
yeah,
keeping
yeah,
your
yeah,
voice at that level straight through without taking breaks.
For a long time.
Mhm.
Yep. Yeah, and see, and I sing in Liquid Courage, you know, and I sing
Yeah,
backups, and I
you've
sing
always
some
sung
lead
backups,
vocals and
haven't
stuff.
you? Yeah,
Yes.
where'd that come from? Where'd you
Just
do you
because
always have
we're
a
just
knack for
we're
it,
just-
or did
well,
you?
We're just a 3-piece, and like I always
Was that
sing
the first-
backups.
You've always sung backups, so
Yeah,
did you
yeah,
sing
I-
with Android 19?
I sang
Yeah.
backups in Android 19 and in Static UK, and it all just stemmed from like needing another vocalist, and no one else in the band would do it. I mean, no one
Really?
like I'd be like,
So you were kind of forced
I
into
was
it.
forced totally, man. And
Necessity.
yeah, and I mean, yeah, necessity, exactly. I mean,
Another
and-
invention.
yeah, I mean, in Static UK, you know, this is like 1995 or something, and 95, 96, 96, and we're playing, we sound pretty good or whatever, but Alan, the singer, and Alan Tauber, he was the singer for Static. He was the sound guy at JR's Lightbulb Club.
Yeah.
Downstairs. Yeah.
Yep.
And a big old 6'8" tall
Before
guy.
Nigel?
Yeah, huh?
Before Nigel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we like we you know we're singing, we're playing, and he's singing, and all he's doing, he's just singing. He doesn't play guitar or anything. He's just a vocalist. He's singing. It sounds good, and he'd be like, man, some of these choruses, I just need someone behind me just
Yeah.
singing with me. Like it sounds pretty good, but it would sound so much more powerful if I had
Oh, it
someone
really
singing
does.
with me, and everyone's looking at each other, and Alan's like, John's like, man, I can't sing. I can't, and you know, so and so, I can't sing and play guitar. I mean, I can sing or play guitar, but I can't do both at the same time.
Yeah.
The bass player's
Yeah.
not gonna sing. What are you talking about? You know, and so then they looked at me, and I was like, guys, I don't know if I can play drums and sing. I mean, I've got an okay voice, but I don't know if I can play drums and sing. I mean, that's kind of hard to do. And they're
Had
like,
you already, if you knew you had an okay voice, that mean you'd done some singing before?
yeah, I'd done some singing, yeah, you know, but.
Like
Like
in the
at
car?
church, and,
Okay.
church, and just like, you know, around
So
my
you knew you
friends.
could do it.
Yeah, so I knew I could sing, and I knew I had a pretty decent voice. I mean, not amazing, but a
Okay.
decent voice.
So
At
it
least-
wasn't like your first time ever singing.
Yeah, yeah.
You
it
at
wasn't
least
like-
had
yeah.
some confidence.
And I knew
in
I
your
was
abilities.
going to be at least a pretty good like backup vocalist.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I mean, I might
Yeah,
not
you're
be
not the spotlight.
a lead vocalist, but I'd be a good background.
As long as you don't
vocalist.
go like dip out a key, you're fine.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have to sound that great.
Yeah. So I was like, but I don't know. And they were like, well, I mean, you could do it if you practice. I mean, you know, you may suck at first or whatever, but eventually you'll get to where you can play drums and sing at the same time. So it's exactly what happened. I started trying.
Yep.
I'd be trying to sing and play, and like my drumming would suffer, you know, because I'm trying to sing and play,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
my vocals would suffer and my drumming would be good. And then finally one day it just came together, and I was like, oh, I'm singing good and I'm playing good. All right, I think I got this. This is cool, man. I
That's beautiful.
finally got it going. You know?
That's awesome.
So I did that, and it did. It made Static sound so much better. And even
Mm-hmm.
though we were just a pop punk band, but still, you know, it thickened everything up and made it sound so much
Yeah, it
better.
did.
So I was like, and then I did it in Android 19 with Tim, you know, Tim
Yep.
Borden on
I
vocals,
remember.
and I sang behind him. And
I always thought that was cool as shit, dude.
yeah, we would harmonize and stuff and whatever. And so when Liquid Courage started playing together in 2006, I was like, Matt was like, man, you know, I don't mind being the only vocalist, but Jay, I mean, I know you can sing and play drums, so
Yeah.
if you could do it, and I was like, yeah, let's do this. And I just was like totally went into it like, sure, I got this, let's do it, you know. And so we did, and it sounded good. And
Well, it would honestly, if I had to, if I had the money to, like, it's worth it to pay somebody just to sing good backup vocal. It is an extra instrument.
Yeah.
Like, I can show you a song with no harmonies, and I can show you that same song with harmonies, and it knocks it out of the ballpark.
It's totally different. Yeah. I mean,
I literally wrote a song like that this week, so I thought it'd just be fun to just document writing a song, just for my own shits and giggles. That's part of what this podcast's about. And I was like, I've got an idea, and I want to write the song, but I'm going to film me writing it. It's boring as fuck. It's literally me working it out, right? Yeah. But I was like, it'd be cool to see that process, and so I did. And I'm recording the demo as filming myself recording it. At the end of it, I got a demo, but the first pass through, I was like, I don't think I want to continue with this song. I don't know. I'll think about it. I'll listen to it. Not a big fan. And this is after I'd kind of crafted it and arranged it. Came back the next day. I was like, I want to hear it again, fresh, and I want to see if I can kind of do some harmonies on this and see if we can add a layer to it. I laid the harmonies on, and this song just takes off.
Yeah.
That's all it took. Like, it was there, but it just needed that extra instrument.
Yeah.
And people just don't utilize harmony in music enough.
Yeah.
It's like the secret weapon that nobody really uses.
Yeah.
Alice in Chains was the last band I remember that really, like, just blew the lid off of
it.
Like, that just used it in a way.
And it changed the game.
That was different, and it changed the game. And but everybody's now just copying that.
Yeah.
But, like, you remember, like, Simon and Garfunkel and the Beatles and the Beach Boys. Like, harmony used to be a prerequisite.
Oh, yeah.
You had to have them.
Yeah.
And then we got into these showboats, the big blonde-haired Robert Plants. And it kind of died out, but even Robert Plant used them sometimes.
Yeah. No, but it used to be, because, like, a lot of my favorite artists, did the, like, Simon and Garfunkel, the Beatles, the Mamas and the Papas, all these were,
and I used to grow up singing, and that's how I got to really love harmony, was I would start just singing the harmony parts. I always thought that was fun, singing the harmony. Like, what are the people underneath singing?
Me too.
Yeah. And then as I became a writer, I always started thinking of what would the harmony be?
Yeah.
What would make it better? And sometimes there doesn't need to be one.
Yeah.
Sometimes the vocal just needs to stay. And other times you can't do it without the harmony.
Yeah, no. That's how I started too, is I started singing along with songs and harmonizing with the songs, and just like doing that and going, wow, that does sound really good. And it feels really good too. When you're singing and you're harmonizing with something, it feels so magical.
Have you recorded yourself harmonizing with yourself?
Nuh-uh.
Really?
No.
That's the coolest thing.
Oh, it's gotta be.
Because it's cloning your own timbre.
Exactly.
Right? That's why brothers,
it's gotta be.
like the Beach Boys, they were all brothers and cousins, other than Jardine. I think most of them were either Wilsons or who's their lead singer?
Brian Wilson?
No, the cousin. Oh, fuck.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
The redhead dude. This is embarrassing.
But he was their he was
their cousin though. But yeah, their harmonies blended so well, and the Beatles sounded good, but the Beach Boys were like a godly level.
No,
the blending.
They took it to the next level.
Yeah,
like, it was like, it was just phenomenal. Yeah. It's cool. It's a cool thing to be able to do, and it's a cool thing to, especially when you're playing drums, and there's some songs where I sing lead vocals on and stuff, and people will just like come up afterwards like, oh my God, I can't believe you like sang that song and played drums at the same time, and I'm like,
it is really rare to see drummers sing though.
Yeah.
I'd say less than 1 in 10 drummers do any backup vocals.
It's better to
or
me.
Less than that.
Yeah.
Way less than that probably.
It's cool though. I'm glad people appreciate it, but I'm always just kind of like, I'm just
but
playing and singing. It's like I'm not doing
filled
anything.
a market that was needed.
Yeah.
And you're doing it well. And that made the band better.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing when your band can grow. Like I remember, I'd never had a lead guitar player before. I'd always had to be the lead guitar player, and I'm no good.
Yeah.
Right?
You're better than you think you are.
I'm okay, but like I can't shred. Like, and some of the songs I write need a shredder. And so when Johnny came along, it was like I could write anything and I could have somebody do that. And it's funny you say that because, we'd get to parts where I'd have a solo idea and he'd have one. And then we were like, why don't we split them?
Yeah.
Like, I'll do the first part because I'm more I basically write it as a melody.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I translate it to guitar. So I kind of do a little lead, and then hand it off to him, and then he takes it and just shreds.
Yeah.
And it's made the band better, because we have two different voices. So I'm still doing a little lead. I mean, he does a lot more lead work than I do, but when we do those dual, or we'll do harmony guitars. Like, I'm a big Iron Maiden fan. I love the harmony guitar.
Yeah. That's a band I didn't even mention, man. Yeah,
Iron Maiden.
I mean,
All right, wrapping up with Jay here. He's going to promote some dates, tell us the bands, tell us the venues, tell us when.
All right. So, yeah, Liquid Courage, my punk band, is playing on February the 22nd at Nomad's Trailside. It's an all-ages show. It's $5, and it's going to be us, Bellwether Sirens, and Daisy Heart Attack. We'll be playing there. It's going to be an awesome show. Everybody come out, all ages. It's going to be a fun punk rock show. It's just going to be fun. My next thing I'm doing is Dirtmother is having our album release party on March the 8th.
Big deal.
Yeah, it's going to be at Waystone Pizza, and we're going to have our album for sale for the first time, and we'll be releasing everything streaming on that day. And we've got a video right now called Plinko that's on YouTube. You can just put Dirtmother, all one word, Dirtmother, Plinko, and we have a video for that.
That's something you go check out right now.
Right now.
Go check it out. See if there's something you're interested in.
Yeah,
and
but
so, here's where to see them.
Yeah, Dirtmother, March the 8th.
How long of a process was it to record that album? Like when you started recording versus when you got it in your hands?
When we got it done.
Yeah.
We started on. Let's see. We started back in. Let's see. Last May. Yeah, we started last May.
May 24.
Yeah, and we recorded. We got the drums track, and then we got.
Did you do it by yourself with no accompaniment or click track?
This time I had a metronome and I had a guitar track.
Nice.
So yeah, I had a scratch guitar track and a metronome.
He was playing with you.
Just
you and him.
Yeah. And what he did was he went in and recorded.
No scratch vocal.
No scratch vocal.
You don't like a scratch vocal?
Yeah, just. It worked out to where when I recorded with Liquid Courage, I did a scratch vocal and a scratch guitar track and a metronome for that band. But with Dirtmother, it was just a guitar scratch track and the metronome.
Nice.
And so I did that and recorded that in May, and then I think in June it was a long process, because some friends were recording us. So I did that, and then I think in June the bass player did his, and then July the guitar, and then August the vocals, and then it was done, and then we just mixed it, mastered it, and then got it ready, and then we decided on the release date for the album and for the album release party, and then just set it for March 8th, and
nice.
So that's when it's coming out.
I'm excited for you, brother.
Yeah, we got the CDs. We got the CDs now, so we got physical copies now that
love it.
Yeah, that the band's been checking out and listening to and enjoying or whatever. But yeah, it'll be available for everybody else on March the 8th. So.
All right, how can people find you?
You can find on Facebook or on Dirtmother Doom. Dirtmother_Doom on Instagram or on Facebook, or you can find Liquid Courage on Facebook.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm excited for what you guys are doing right now.
Yeah,
this is fun.
It's fun.
It's fun. I can see it in your eyes, man. You're
excited. Putting out fun music, and
I love it, man.
Having a good time, man.
I love it. And you're giving away free drum lessons to the first 100 kids.
The first 100 kids.
Thank you for coming on, sir. This is awesome.
Problem. Thank you, man. Thank you for doing this.
Oh man, it's fun.